Chapter 2254. Cain and Dan only had one thought before he fainted. Are these people bad people? This thought remained the moment he woke up. He opened his eyes and saw the blue sky and Wu Xiaodao's playful eyes. He blinked his eyes. Was he awake? Wu Xiaodao saw that he was still confused and said, "You haven't woken up yet?" Cain and Dan remembered what happened before and sat up from the ground and looked around. He was still in the wilderness and there were only the three of them. He wasn't tied up. "You didn't want to catch me?" he asked in surprise. "Why would we want to catch you?" Wu Xiaodao reached out to pinch his face and said, "It's just a bit troublesome to bring you out. We need you to be quiet so we let you sleep." Cain and Dan felt that they didn't need to lie to him. If they wanted to catch him, with their strength, they didn't need to do anything else. He stood up and patted the dust off his clothes and asked, "We're out of the forbidden zone? So you're safe for now?" Wu Xiaodao said. Cain and Dan had already guessed it, but when he heard that it was safe, he was surprised. He knew how strong Taodai Palace was. He thought that Sima Yue was just saying it and didn't really have any hope. He didn't think that they would really bring him out. He was stunned for a moment and bowed to them. "Thank you for saving my life. Get up, get up. You're so young and you're like an old man." Wu Xiaodao picked him up and looked at Sima Yue. "Mother, what do we do next?" Sima Yue was silent for a moment and said, "Since we're out, let's send him back to Canaan Exin." She didn't plan to find Canaan Exin, but now that she met her brother, she couldn't just leave the little guy alone. "Do you know where your brother is?" Sima Yue asked. Cain Dan's eyes lit up. "I know." Then he thought of something and the light in his eyes fell back. "I appreciate your kindness, but it's very dangerous to follow me. You'd better send me to a nearby city. I just need to contact my brother and he'll send someone to pick me up." "At such a young age, you think quite a lot." Wu Xiaodao smiled. "Don't worry, if we didn't have any strength, would we dare to bring you along? We were able to come out of the Taotai Palace's forbidden grounds unscathed. Could it be that the people chasing after you are stronger than the people from the Taotai Palace?" "No." Cain and Dan shook his head. "That's it. Tell me where your big brother is. We'll go and find him." "Let's go then." "Sister, you guys are so nice." Wu Qiao shook his head. Wu Xiaodao didn't insist on giving it to him out of kindness. It was entirely because she wanted to experience the feeling of being hunted down. Sima Yue also knew Wu Xiaodao's thoughts, but she didn't care. If her children wanted to play, then let them play. Anyway, there were people protecting them. Although she didn't see those people that dark scent, once the two little guys were in danger, they would definitely come out immediately. However, Cain and Dan did not know where Canaan Exin was. He only knew where Canaan Exin was before he left. Thus, they could only go to the place where Canaan Exin was before. However, this way, the journey would not be peaceful. They didn't go far before they met the first wave of people chasing after them. At first, Cain and Dan was very worried. There were more than 10 people and they only had 3 people. Soon, he knew that his worries were unnecessary. Although Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao were not very strong, Sima Yue was very good at killing people. Moreover, she had very powerful beasts. When those beasts came out, those people were killed in a few moves. When Sima Yue came back from killing people, he couldn't help but take a few more glances at her. She didn't talk much and didn't make many decisions. Whether to leave or stay, it was all up to Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao. She looked very gentle, who knew that she was so powerful. Thinking about it, she and Big Brother were from the same sect. If she wasn't powerful, how could they be from the same sect? Big Brother said that those who could enter their sect were very powerful. A few days later, they met the second wave of people chasing after them. There were more people than the last time. Cain and Dan was worried again. In the end, Sima Yue took care of them again. When the third wave of people came, he was already very calm. With her around, there was no need to worry about these small shrimps. No wonder they weren't worried at all. She was really powerful. With him around, he would definitely be able to find Big Brother safely. Because they had been rushing for several days, Sima Yue was afraid that Cain and Dan wouldn't be able to hold on. When they came to a city, she brought them into the city to find an inn to rest. "Innkeeper, we want 2 guest rooms." Sima Yue said. "Okay." The innkeeper took the money and gave them the keys to 2 rooms. When they took the keys and were about to go upstairs, a few people wearing black robes walked in from outside. Move, move. Those few people pushed the people in front of the counter and came to the counter. They stared at the innkeeper fiercely. When the innkeeper saw these people, he was so scared that his legs turned to jelly. He smiled flatteringly and said, "Sirs, why are you here? Have you seen anyone suspicious recently?" One of them asked. "No, we have been paying attention since you came last time. We didn't see anyone suspicious." The innkeeper said. Those few people gave a few words of advice and sized up the people in the inn. After confirming that there was no one suspicious, they left with their people. Sima Yue stood behind the crowd and glanced at those people. When she saw the golden embroidered spirit beasts on their clothes, she knew their identities. People from Taotai Palace. Could it be that the person they were looking for was her? Taotai Palace is really making a big commotion this time. When the people from Taotai Palace left, the people in the inn started to discuss. That's for sure. The reaction from the ancient sacred flame insignia was so big and Taotai Palace lost their treasure. How could they not be anxious to find it back? I heard that the ancient sacred flame insignia didn't react at all recently. This treasure probably can't be found. Lower your voice. If you gloat like this, be careful that we don't catch you. Sirs, please follow me. The waiter brought them upstairs. Sima Yue followed behind the waiter and went upstairs. She thought about what those people said just now. She didn't pay attention when John Nandan mentioned it previously. Now that these people mentioned that the ancient sacred flame insignia was in Taotai Palace, she clearly gave the ancient sacred flame insignia to the Dark Dragon Guard. Why did it appear in Taotai Palace now? Could it be that Xian Qiu he gave it to them? She thought that it was not possible. If the Dark Dragon Guard didn't care about this, why would they spend so much effort to find it? Chapter 2255. Sima Yue let Wu Qiao and Canaan Dan stay in one room, while she and Wu Xiaodao chose the other. Mother, from what those people said, it seems like when we got the treasure, the ancient sacred flame insignia had a huge reaction. Wu Xiaodao said, "This should be related to your aura." Sima Yue took out a milky white bead and gave it to her. The chaos aura in this is not strong, so it only caused the ancient sacred flame insignia to react. The chaos aura that she released that day was the reason why the ancient sacred flame insignia went crazy. And that milky white bead was not a treasure, it just happened to contain chaos aura. Wu Xiaodao rolled the bead around on the table and said, "Mother, is this chaos world really that powerful?" The chaos world gives birth to life. It is the origin of all life. Since it can give birth to life, it means that it is more powerful than other worlds. But this is only my speculation. Sima Yue explained. I think what Mother said makes sense. Other places can't do it, only this place can. It means that it is different from the rest. It's a pity that we can't see what it's like inside. Wu Xiaodao said regretfully. Maybe there will be a chance in the future. Sima Yue comforted her. Mother, do you have a way to take us there? Wu Xiaodao looked at her with sparkling eyes. Sima Yue shook her head. How could I have a way? I just think that since people can live there, maybe they can do it in the future. So it's like this, I thought Mother had a way. Wu Xiaodao was a little discouraged. No one has been there for hundreds of thousands of years. This idea can only be an idea. Sima Yue saw her disappointment and smiled as she poked her head. Mother is not omnipotent. In my eyes, Mother is omnipotent. Wu Xiaodao held her arm and leaned her head on her shoulder, giggling as she said, Since I was young, I thought that Mother is omnipotent, and in the future, Mother will also be omnipotent. Shouldn't Mother thank you for your unconditional trust? Sima Yue smiled. Hee. They rested at the inn for the night and continued their journey the next morning. After encountering a few waves of pursuers, Canaan Dan disappeared from everyone's sight. The Canaan family was the most anxious. They had already sent people to pick up the young master, but he had gone missing. If something happened to him, how were they going to explain it to their family? The pursuers were confused as well. According to their plan, Canaan Dan should not have disappeared from their sight. Now that he was gone, their plan to use him to attack Canaan's heart could not be carried out. Canaan Xen also knew about Canaan Dan. She wanted to find him, but she couldn't leave, because he himself was in danger. Canaan Dan did not know that his family and his pursuers were looking for him. At this time, he was discussing with Wu Xiaodao whether he could not be so ugly next time. He was obviously a little kid, but Wu Xiaodao made him look like an old man. An old man with dwarfism. That's what you call catching people by surprise. Who would think that you're that little kid? You're also very cute like this. Wu Xiaodao glanced at the wrinkled skin on Canaan Dan's face and arms. He smiled and said, "You see, we haven't been chased for the past few days, right?" Canaan Dan thought about how peaceful the past few days were and could only accept it. "Be good, wait until we find your brother." Wu Xiaodao wanted to experience the joy of being chased, but after too many times, she became impatient. So she thought of a way to change his appearance. In addition, no one had seen the three of them before, so no one recognized them along the way. They brought Canaan Dan to the city he mentioned. But they received news that Canaan Xen was no longer here and had gone to a nearby plain. It was said that there was a treasure there. Many people went there. Treasure? Wu Xiaodao looked at Sima Yue and said, "Mother, since we brought Canaan Dan to this place, then let's be good to the end and send him to his brother. If you want to go, then you can go. I'm old and I won't join in. Canaan Dan is still young and there are many people there. It's dangerous, so don't go. Stay here with me and wait for you to come back." Sima Yue wanted to train the two children and planned to let them experience it themselves. "We'll go by ourselves?" Sima Yue nodded. "Just the two of you. Little Yao Yao, you have to take good care of Xiaodao, okay? Xiaodao, you're not allowed to cause trouble. You have to listen to little Yao Yao, okay?" Wu Xiaodao nodded and promised, "Mother, don't worry. I'll protect little brother." Wu Qiao, who was protecting who when they went out. Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao left. Sima Yue let me air and little Black go with them. She stayed at the inn with Canaan Dan. "Aren't you worried about them?" Canaan Dan saw that she was still in the mood to read and sat beside her. "I'm worried." "If you're worried, then why did you let them go by themselves? Why didn't you let them go by themselves?" Sima Yu saw his round eyes and serious appearance. She thought of Wu Qiao when he was young. She reached out and patted his head, saying, "I can't always accompany them. There will always be a time when I let them do things on their own. Besides, didn't I let my contracted beast go with them? They will tell me if there's danger." Canaan Dan wanted to tell her that she wouldn't be able to rush over in time. But seeing how calm she was, she swallowed her words. She might have a plan. "Are you hungry? Let's eat this first." Sima Yu placed a plate of spirit fruits on the table and continued to read. Canaan Dan glanced at her and picked up a spirit fruit to eat. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao followed the crowd to the place where the treasure was. With these people around, they didn't have to worry about not being able to find the way. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao walked slowly. Along the way, many people passed them. Seeing that they were just the two of them, they couldn't help but take a few more glances. With such strength, they dared to snatch the treasure from everyone? Were they sure they weren't going to die? Wu Xiaodao wanted to argue with them, but was stopped by Wu Qiao. "These people are too much. If I don't take care of them, I won't be able to vent the anger in my heart." Wu Xiaodao said angrily, "This is a good thing, what are you angry about? The more others look down on us, the less attention we will attract if we go there. If there really is a treasure, it will be easier for us to snatch it." Wu Qiao comforted her. "What you said makes a lot of sense. Humph, those fellows are just waiting for me to snatch the treasure and blind their dog eyes." Wu Qiao didn't reply. To her, this was just a thought. Chapter 2256. Dear God Mountain was not a famous mountain range before, but it was very lively recently because there was a treasure light here. There must be some treasure that was about to appear. Because the treasure light appeared at night, many people saw it. This news could not be hidden, so the news of a treasure appearing at Dear God Mountain spread like wildfire. Not only that, less than a month after this news spread, there was another news. Dear God Mountain had the almighty Lu Xing's grave. If it was said that those people were not that enthusiastic about the treasure hunt at Dear God Mountain before, now that this news came out, the entire divine realm was boiling. For hundreds of thousands of years, there had not been any almighty in the divine realm. Even if they were more loved by the heavens than the people of the lower continents, they could only advance to the emperor level. There was not a single almighty above that. So, the heavens did not only change the lower continents, but they were also affected. Now that they found the Almighty's grave, they might be able to obtain some useful information. Who knows, they might be able to find a way to break the shackles of the heavens. Dear God Mountain became a place that everyone in the divine realm rushed to like a flock of ducks. When Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao arrived, those people had not found the Almighty's grave yet, but they were all heading towards the center of Dear God Mountain. It was said that there was already some progress, and now many people were rushing towards that place. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao followed the crowd and flew over. Wu Qiao sized up the surroundings and said, "This is not the Almighty's grave." "What did you see?" Wu Xiaodao glanced over and did not see anything. The feng shui here is not bad, but for a grave, it is a place of great danger. Wu Qiao said with certainty. "You're at the entry level of spirit seeking?" Wu Xiaodao asked. "Yes, Mother taught me before. Uncle Ming also taught me a bit." Wu Qiao replied. "Uncle Ming taught you? Did he teach you something bad again?" Wu Xiaodao knew dark too well. "It's not bad," Wu Qiao said, "but there are so many people here, it's good for us to see more." "Then let's go." The two little guys continued forward, not noticing that the space behind them moved, and Sima Yue walked out. If it was just a simple treasure hunt before, then she had nothing to worry about. However, he didn't expect that this place would become the graveyard of a powerful being, and that so many powerful people would come. She couldn't sit still when she heard the news. She knocked Kanan unconscious, threw him into the spirit pagoda, and came over. She didn't expect to hear the two little fellows talking. Wu Jiao was right. The feng shui here was good, but for a cemetery, it was a place of great danger. However, Wu Qiao was only 14 or 15 years old, and he hadn't been in contact with the Seeker's origin for long. Only the Nether sect would be able to determine that there wasn't a graveyard here. The way Ming taught the two children was very different. Wu Xiaodao was lively, curious about everything and considerate, which just happened to iron his heart, so he followed her in everything and spoiled her to the point of lawlessness. Fortunately, she was not very troublesome and was very obedient in her place. Other than being a little wild, her heart was still good. She did not restrain Xiaodao much. As for Wu Qiao, he had always been dull since he was a child, so Ming always taught him some different things. For example, when he learned that Wu Qiao had learned how to search for spirits from Yue, he would teach him about the feng shui of graves. Sima Yue knew that he hoped that Wu Qiao would go tomb raiding in the future. No matter what he taught, Wu Qiao learned it in a few moments. However, it was useless. His personality was still the same and hadn't changed at all. Now that she was here, she couldn't ignore the two children. However, she also wanted the two little fellows to continue their training, so she called Qian Yun out and changed her appearance after fusing. She restrained her aura and followed them into the mountain. She saw that Wu Xiaodao was curious about everything. She pulled Wu Qiao's hand and went here and there. Although Wu Qiao was not interested, he still followed her everywhere. When she was close to them, the distance between them was less than 10 meters. She suddenly felt that it was not bad to look at the two little fellows like this. When Wu Qiao looked back at her for the second time and frowned slightly, she found a place where there was no one and changed her appearance. This sensitive little fellow. She smiled and continued to follow. "Little Yao Yao, do you think there is really a powerful mausoleum here? We have already met a few monarchs." Wu Xiaodao pulled Wu Qiao to the center of Dear God Mountain and met a few monarchs on the way. Although they had restrained their auras, they could deceive others, but they couldn't deceive these two. "Probably," Wu Qiao replied. "Mother said that when great-grandfather advanced to monarch, he was almost killed by the heavenly Tao. There are so many monarchs here. The heavenly Tao is indeed biased." Wu Xiaodao ridiculed. "Since this is the divine domain, there are naturally many other advantages. Wu Qiao analyzed, many of the people living here have ancient bloodlines. I think those few monarchs are not ordinary people. Perhaps their bloodlines gave them some advantage when they advanced to monarch. The possibility of what you said is very high. How about this? Let's find 2 monarchs to study. Wu Xiaodao's eyes lit up when he said this. With our strength? Or the 2 of them? Wu Qiao shook his arm. There was a black ring on his and Wu Xiaodao's hands. It was me heir and little black. Besides, mother came here for something. What if we cause trouble for her? Hearing that they would cause trouble for Sima Yuyue, Wu Xiaodao suppressed this idea. If the 2 of them caused trouble, they could just go back to the underworld. However, mother was here to meet a friend. Furthermore, Qi Yan and the others' matter had to be settled. They could not drag her down. Then let's go treasure hunting. She was like this. Once she thought it through, she would not be entangled. Instead, she asked, Little Yao Yao, since you know that this is not the real Almighty's mausoleum, can you use the spirit-seeking method to find other places? I don't know. I have only just started searching for spirits. Wu Jiao said. The only reason he knew that the place they were surrounding was not a tomb was because Ming had told him about this situation. He did not know much about spirit-seeking. What did you say? This is not the Almighty's mausoleum? A sharp voice came from behind a big tree. Following that, a short man with twisted facial features walked out from behind the tree. He stared closely at Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao. The monarch's aura rushed over, causing the surrounding people to be unable to breathe. You said that there is no Almighty's mausoleum here. Is that true? Chapter 2257. The little old man's voice was very sharp, a bit like the sound of an electric drill. It made people's hair stand on end. Coupled with his appearance, he looked very scary. He released a little of his emperor's power, and the people around him bowed slightly. But this didn't include the 2 of them. The little old man's sharp eyes stared at Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao. His eyes narrowed slightly. They were just 2 god-level people, but their expressions didn't change under his emperor's pressure. Wu Xiaodao felt a bit unlucky. He just said that he wanted to catch 2 emperors to study, and now he immediately ran into them. And from the other party's appearance, it was obvious that he heard what they just said. As for his emperor's pressure, she didn't feel it at all. She and Wu Qiao had long been used to this. I'm asking you. You just said that there is no almighty tomb here, is that true? The little old man asked again. Yes. Wu Qiao replied. Why are you so sure? The little old man sized him up. He was young, but his ability was not small. Not only did he know that this was not the tomb of the Almighty, he also ignored his pressure. He didn't know which family's young master ran out. With this thought in mind, he withdrew his pressure. Wu Qiao didn't hide it. He analyzed the terrain of the central area of Dear God Mountain and continued, with this kind of feng shui, an almighty wouldn't choose this place. After the little old man heard this, he didn't say anything. His sharp eyes looked at him, as if to distinguish whether his words were true or false. Wu Qiao was not anxious, nor was he afraid. He let him size him up. After nearly a minute, the little old man said, Since you are so sure, then you know where this tomb is? I don't know. I know this by chance. I didn't analyze it myself. As for whether there is an almighty tomb here, I really don't know. Wu Qiao said honestly. Obviously, the little old man didn't believe him. He looked around. The people who were watching the show all fled in fear. Soon, only the 3 of them were left. You said that there is no almighty tomb here. I believe that. Now what you need to do is to find the almighty tomb on Dear God Mountain. Why? Wu Xiaodao touched the black ring on his hand, thinking about when to call them out. Based on the fact that your little lives are now in my hands. The little old man snorted coldly. If you can find them, you'll live. If you can't find it, I'm afraid the 2 of you will become fertilizer in this Dear God Mountain. Are you threatening us? Wu Xiaodao raised her eyebrows. She had never been threatened before. This was the first time he felt that it was quite refreshing. However, now was not the time to show her excitement. She paused and her small face sank. What if there's nothing here? Do you think we can conjure one up for you? There is definitely one here. However, it is indeed as you said. It is not at the center of the mountain range. The little old man said resolutely and decisively. It seemed that he had something to rely on. When the little old man saw the understanding look on their faces, he didn't explain too much. He did have reliable information that there was a mausoleum of a mighty figure on Mount Deer. At first, like everyone else, he thought that he was in the center of the life vein. However, after searching for a few months in the center and carefully comparing the information in his hands, he rejected this idea. Deer God Mountain was very large and the mausoleum was buried underground. He didn't know where it was. In order to obtain some information, he deliberately made some movements here and then spread the news of the mausoleum. This was to attract more people to come and see if anyone could find anything. He didn't expect that after waiting for so long, those people who came only circled around the center of the mountain range and didn't find anything else. Just as he was reflecting on the inappropriateness of his actions under a big tree, he overheard the conversation between the two. He didn't expect that although the two of them looked very young, they would be able to reveal the secret of the mausoleum. Since this person could see that the mausoleum wasn't here, then he could discover the true location of the mausoleum. Moreover, these two people's strength wasn't high and they didn't have any powerful people following them. It would be easy to control them. If they wanted to resist, it would be easy to kill them. The news that the mausoleum wasn't in the center of the mountain range must not be spread out. Wu Qiao never showed a trace of panic. He pulled Wu Xiaodao behind him and calmly looked at the little old man and said, "You plan to either let us find the mausoleum for you or kill us, right?" Hee, you're young but you know a lot. The little old man laughed strangely. "You're right. You only have these two paths to take now. If you insist that you don't know, then I can only make you keep this a secret forever." With that, he stared at the two people with killing intent, as if he wanted to kill them if they said they didn't know. Wu Qiao hesitated for 2 seconds and nodded. "I'll take you to find it." The little old man wasn't surprised by his decision. His figure flashed and appeared behind the two people like a ghost. He grabbed one with each hand and disappeared from the spot. Sima Yue sat on the branch of the tree where the little old man appeared. If the little old man was here, he would be shocked. There was actually someone who could be so close to him and he didn't even notice. Sima Yue called Little Roar out. Before she could open her mouth, Little Roar anxiously said, "Yu, the two children have been taken away. Why are you still sitting here leisurely?" "Don't worry, their lives won't be in danger for now." Sima Yue wasn't worried at all. Since the person just now wanted to capture them to find the mausoleum, he wouldn't change his mind so quickly. Even if it was a seeker spirit master like her, finding the mausoleum wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. So the little old man would give them some time. And seeing Wu Xiaodao's eagerness to fight, she was afraid that he was still immersed in the fresh experience of being kidnapped. He hadn't experienced enough yet. If she, as his mother, went to save him, he would be unhappy. Even Wu Qiao didn't show any signs of fear. That calm look made her curious as to how he was going to find the mausoleum with the little old man. Little Roar understood her meaning and didn't bother about it. He asked, "Yu, is there really an almighty mausoleum here? That's the reason why I called you out." Sima Yue rubbed his body twice and said, "You're usually the best at talking. This time, I'll have to trouble you to ask the spirit beasts in the mountain if there's anything special about this Deer God Mountain." Chapter 2258. When Little Roar heard this, he immediately became spirited and said, "That's easy. However, it's too dangerous for me to go alone. Let Little Dream, Hua Hua and Little Seven follow me." Sima Yue nodded. She knew that he would bring it up. However, it was indeed dangerous here. It would be safer with a few more people. Let Little Dream and Hua Hua go with you. Forget about Little Seven. She didn't understand the people in the divine territory. If Little Seven's identity was discovered, she would be in danger. When Little Seven heard this, she protested in the spirit pagoda. How could she not participate in such a fun thing? After her protests, Yue still allowed her to go. However, because Little Seven was going, she let Little Fire follow. She didn't know what Ming did to little Fire in the underworld. After bringing him out for a few years, he became a fiery red-haired 3 or 4-year-old child. Ming said that his strength increased by a lot. She hadn't seen it with her own eyes. However, since he could transform, he shouldn't be weak. With him following, he could resist for a while if anything happened. However, this way, she would have to worry about the 2 children and pay more attention to little 7. The beasts left excitedly. Sima Yue sat on the tree for a while. She sensed Wu Xiaodao's position and was about to chase after them when a group of people ran over. Seeing the people, Sima Yue's disappearing figure became clear again. If anyone saw this scene, they would be shocked. There were actually people in this world who could enter and exit space at will and not be hurt. Furthermore, there was no movement at all. However, the people below didn't notice that there was someone on the tree. A group of people surrounded Jia Nanxin and his guards. Jia Nanxin was injured and the other person was heavily injured. The people surrounding them were also in a sorry state. It seemed that they had gone through a fierce battle. Jia Nanxin, you have nowhere to run today. You should obediently surrender. One of them shouted, if you insist on resisting, then this day next year will be your death anniversary. Those people didn't hide anything. It seemed that they didn't mind letting her know their identities. Sima Yue thought of the people chasing after Jia Nanxin. Jia Nanxin did not show any fear on her face, but there was still some unwillingness in her eyes. If he really died here today, he didn't know if his family would be able to survive this crisis. As for little Dan, he didn't know where he was or if he could grow up well. He couldn't die. He gripped the artifact in his hand tightly. He had to find a way to leave this place alive. Master, I'll hold them back for a while. You take the opportunity to escape. The person who was with Kanan Xian said softly. No, you can't do that. Jia Nanxin pulled him back and stopped him. Both of them were running out of spiritual energy, and there were so many of them. There was only one way to stop them, and that was to self-detonate. He couldn't trade someone else's life for his own. That person wanted to say something, but when he saw Kanan's determined gaze, he fell silent again. Even if she didn't let him say it now, he would still do it when they started fighting later. Looks like you don't want to surrender. The other party didn't have much patience. The order they received was to capture him alive if they could. If he insisted on resisting, it didn't matter even if he died. They had been chasing Kanan Xian for a few days now, and they had lost a lot of people. They thought they could kill him every time, but he escaped every time. This time, they had lost so many people to force him to this point. No matter what, they had to get rid of him today. Both parties started fighting again. Kanan Xian and that person were already running out of spiritual energy, and now they had only recovered a little. They were running out of energy after using 2 spiritual techniques. Seeing that they were about to be killed, the person beside Kanan Xian kept his artifact and started to reverse the flow of spiritual energy. Kanan Xian noticed his actions and rushed over to interrupt him. Stop! I said, you're not allowed to take this step. Young master, be careful. A spiritual technique flew over while he was rushing over. Kanan Xian and that person didn't have the strength to block it. If it hit them, they would definitely die. Young master, be careful. Kanan Xian's back was facing those people, but the other person was facing them. When he saw the spiritual technique flying over, he instinctively pulled Kanan Xian behind him and put himself in front. Kanan Xian immediately understood, but he couldn't let him stand in front of him to block the attack. His injuries were much more serious than his. If he was hit directly, he would definitely die. At the last moment, he moved his body and used the last of his strength to switch their bodies. At this moment, the energy was already in front of him. The pain that he expected didn't appear. Not only was there no pain, he didn't even feel anything. When the spiritual technique dissipated, the 2 of them were still standing in their original positions. They didn't die? Kanan Xian was stunned and immediately reacted. They must have been saved by someone. But there was no one around. Who saved them? The people on the other side immediately became alert. Someone could actually save them silently. This meant that the other party wasn't weak. But at this moment, who would save them? Just as both sides were shocked, One of the people on the other side suddenly shouted, "There's someone on the tree." Everyone looked up and saw a figure on the tree. Instantly, everyone was shocked. When did this person appear here? Not a single one of them had noticed it. Kanan Exen was also very confused. He didn't know this person. Why did she save him? And from the way she looked at him, it was obvious that they knew each other. When did he know such a powerful person? Sima Yue sat on the tree. Looking at the shocked and frightened faces of the people below, she laughed in her heart. She was now a strong person in the eyes of others. It was a pity that most of these powers belonged to others. She just took advantage of them. I'll protect Kanan Xian's life. Do you want to leave on your own? Or do you want to stay and become fertilizer? She flicked her nails and said casually, "Who is that person?" The other party looked at her cautiously. "Who is related to you? Do you think that you can beat me or what?" She dragged out the last word, but it carried an inviolable aura. The people below were only Paragon rankers. It was easy for her to deal with them. Thinking about this, she sighed. Paragon rankers were not as common as cabbages in the divine realm, but there were still a lot of them. She didn't know if it was because of the environment here or their bloodline. Thinking about Wu Xiaodao's idea of bringing two people back to study, it wasn't impossible. Those people were a little hesitant. They didn't want to miss such a good opportunity. But they didn't dare to act rashly. Both sides were in a deadlock. Sima Yue saw that they weren't leaving. She said to Kanan Exen, "Do you want them alive?" Chapter 2259. Kanan Exen was startled, as if he did not expect her to ask for his opinion. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows and shook her head. "No need. I know who they are." It was harder to kill them than to leave them alive. He was already very grateful that she was willing to save him. He did not want to cause any more trouble for her. Sima Yue had also guessed that he would do this. Since they came so openly, it meant that they knew each other and did not care about each other. Whether these people died or not, it did not affect Kanan Xian much. Then she disappeared from the tree. In just a few breaths, she appeared in front of Kanan Exen. When she stood still, the people behind her fell one after another. Killed with one slash. Kanan Exen looked at the corpses in shock. Everyone's neck had been slit, and it all happened in an instant. "Are you all right?" Kanan Exen was shocked when he saw the woman smiling at him. Although she looked different, he instinctively called out, "Yue." This time, it was Sima Yue's turn to be shocked. She had changed her appearance, but he could still recognize her? Actually, Kanan Exen regretted calling out Sima Yue's name. How could he call out her name in front of someone else? They looked different. Who knew that the other party would smile after being startled for a while? Then, the lady he did not recognize immediately became the person he was familiar with. Seeing the two stunned people, Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. "What, you don't recognize me after not seeing me for a few decades?" "Yue? It's really you." Kanan Exen came back to his senses and was pleasantly surprised. "Why are you here? When did you come to the divine territory? Why didn't you look for us?" "I just came here not long ago. I just happened to encounter this situation, so I thought I'd come over to take a look." Sima Yue replied, "How did you recognize me just now?" "I actually did not recognize you either. It's just that when you smiled just now, it made me think of you." Kanan Xian said, a little embarrassed. "So that's how it is. I thought I wasn't good enough." Sima Yue recalled the 2 times Wu Qiao turned around to look at her. That guy was really sharp. "Thank you for saving our lives today. If you didn't come, then Yanji and I would probably be unable to escape this calamity," Jianan said gratefully. "However, I really never imagined that your strength would be so formidable now." Sima Yu didn't say that her strength came from someone else. She took out a bottle of pills and handed it to him. "Both of you are injured. Take these pills first." "Thank you." Jian Nanxin did not stand on ceremony. She took the pills and gave one to Yanji and one to herself. Only after the pills, they felt Yue's, Sima Yue and Yue. "Let me show you." Sima Yu said. Kanan Exen, Yue's S for a while. Yue to Yu and Yue, Yun Yue. And then Yue, S to Yue. Yue's Kanan Exen shook his head. No, I still have to save my little brother. His whereabouts are unknown. I was chased by these people. Now that they are dead, I have to find him. Are you talking about Cain and Dan? Sima Yue asked. You know my little brother? Cain and Exen looked at her in surprise. I know him. He was with me before. I made arrangements for him before we entered the mountain. Don't worry, he is absolutely safe. In the spirit pagoda, no one could find him. Wasn't it absolutely safe? Why are you with your little brother? Cain and Exen was shocked beyond words. He would never have thought that Cain and Dan would be with Sima Yue. Sima Yue told him how she met Cain and Dan and brought him to find her brother. She also said that it was too dangerous to enter the mountain. She could only leave him somewhere else and enter the mountain herself. It won't be too late for you to look for him after we leave. I'm sure he wouldn't want to see you injured. After Sima Yue finished speaking, Cain and Exen took a step back and bowed to her solemnly. Yanji, who was behind him, bowed as well. Sima Yue went forward to help him up. What are you doing? It's just a small matter. A few years ago, my mother was set up when she was about to give birth. She passed away after giving birth to my little brother. Before she died, I promised my mother that I would take good care of him. When I heard that he was being chased that day, I wanted to save him. I didn't expect. Fortunately, I met you. If it wasn't for you, my little brother wouldn't be here anymore. I didn't have to trouble you to send him over from so far away, Cain and Exen explained. We are from the same sect after all. Since you call me senior granduncle, it's only right for me to help you. Sima Yue joked. Besides, I just came to the divine territory and didn't know what to do. Sending him over would be good for him to catch up with you. Cain and Exen knew that Sima Yue didn't want him to be too particular. Hence, he borrowed Sima Yue's strength to get up and ask some questions about the people who chased after them. Sima Yue told him about the few times they were chased after. She asked curiously, Do you have many enemies? Cain and Exen was confused by her question. Sima Yue pointed at the people on the ground and said, You should know who these people are, right? Cain and Exen nodded. The people who chased after us are not from the same group as these people. Sima Yue said, and they don't look like they are from the same group. Are you sure? It wasn't that Cain and Exen didn't believe her, but this news really surprised him. I still have the ability to differentiate. Sima Yue said confidently. Young master, could it be? Yanji's injuries were still very serious and his words were weak. Cain and Exen was catching up with his fellow sect member. He had been listening quietly and only spoke when he heard this. Cain and Exen's aura sank. He didn't say anything and had the same thoughts as Yanji. Sima Yue didn't take the initiative to ask. She and Cain and Exen were friends, but she didn't ask for help regarding his family matters. It wouldn't be good for her to ask too much. No matter what the situation is outside, you can't go out now. She reminded. I know. Cain and Exen nodded. I'll send the news back first and let my family members investigate. Yanji and I will rest here for 2 days before we leave. You're not going to investigate the tomb of the powerful people here? Sima Yue was a little surprised. Didn't they say that they were here to look for treasures? We've been in the mountains for a long time, but we haven't found any treasures or tombs. Since there's nothing here, we won't waste our time here. Cain and Exen said. Then follow me for the next 2 days. If they were left here, it would be troublesome if they got into a conflict with someone. Anyway, the two children had never seen them before and wouldn't recognize them. Chapter 2260. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao were brought over the mountains by the little old man. In order to find the mausoleum, the three of them had no choice but to walk. The little old man was a man of few words. Seeing that Wu Xiaodao was curious about everything, he did not say anything as he hopped around. It was just that his malicious gaze did not leave Wu Qiao's body. It could be seen that he was very anxious, but he did not rush him. Wu Qiao was currently facing a cliff in deep thought. The cliff that reached into the clouds seemed to have been split open by a blade. There was even a small pool at the bottom of the cliff. And he was standing near the pool, looking up at the cliff. He had maintained this posture for quite a while. Wu Xiaodao was bored from waiting, So she simply took out a fishing rod and started fishing by the pool. She even acted like she was baiting. She was just passing the time. She did not think that she would actually catch a few fish. Seeing these lively fish, she began to toss out food again. A pot of fish soup, a few grilled fish, and the rest were braised. They were placed on the table one by one. That leisurely appearance made it seem like he was not being controlled by someone, but was instead on a scenic tour. You've already been staring at this cliff for a long time. Have you seen anything? The little old man saw that Wu Qiao's posture did not change and finally could not help but ask. Wu Qiao turned around and glanced at him, saying, "The entrance to the mausoleum is here." Are you sure? If you dare to trick me, I will immediately take your little lives. The little old man stared at the mountain for a while. There was nothing special about it. Could it be that because it looked like it was cut by someone, he said it was here? Facing his questioning gaze, Wu Qiao was not flustered. He pointed at the pool below and said, "The entrance is below the pool. If you don't believe me, you can go down and take a look. You were staring at the mountain before, but now you say that the mausoleum is in the pool?" The little old man clearly did not believe her words. "I deduced that it is below. If you don't believe me, then there's nothing I can do," Wu Qiao said indifferently. The little old man stared at the pool for a while. He clearly felt that Wu Qiao's actions were too childish, but for some reason he felt that his words were somewhat trustworthy. Wu Xiaodao finished cooking all the fish and waved her hand at Wu Qiao. Then she said to the little old man, "Grandpa, you are so powerful. Go down and take a look. You will know if what little Yao said is true. Little Yao Yao and I will eat fish here and wait for you. Don't even think about bringing us down. You know me. If we go down together, you might not be able to find the entrance. You're so powerful, we won't run." The little old man was still a little hesitant. He had already experienced the misfortune in Wu Xiaodao's life. If he brought her down, there might really be a lot of trouble. But if he didn't bring her along, that kid wouldn't go down either. Moreover, it was still unknown whether this was the entrance to the mausoleum. He thought for a while, then casually set up a barrier, trapping them and the table. "If I can make it out safely, you can make it out." With that, he jumped down. Wu Xiaodao just finished eating a grilled fish and drank a bowl of fish soup. She put the rest of the grilled fish into Wu Qiao's bowl and gave him a bowl of fish soup. "More. You've lost weight these days. If mother sees this, she'll say that I didn't take good care of you." Wu Qiao nodded and began to eat the fish. "Eat slowly. He won't be coming up for a while anyway. We'll leave after we finish eating." Wu Xiaodao sometimes still took care of him like a younger brother. She put one hand on the table and stared at Wu Qiao. "What's down there? How can you let him go down for so long?" Little Yao Yao was willing to sit down and eat fish, which meant that there was still plenty of time. "I don't know what it is, but there are fluctuations of spiritual power down there." Wu Qiao continued to eat the fish. Wu Xiaodao knew that Wu Qiao's senses were very sharp, so no matter what was down there, it probably wasn't a small thing. "Little Yao Yao, where are we going later?" Since he was the one who spread the news about this treasure, it means that it's fake. "Then let's walk around the mountain and see if we can find the real mausoleum." Wu Qiao was actually not very interested in the mausoleum, but since his sister liked it, he could only bring it along as a younger brother. "Then when you finish eating, we'll go walk around," Wu Xiaodao said with a smile. "I wonder what mother is doing right now, and if she misses us." Wu Qiao lowered his head to drink the fish soup, hiding the light in his eyes. Before Wu Qiao could finish eating, a group of people walked over to him. They were surprised to see two little guys eating by the pool. "Little sister, why do you need to use a barrier to eat?" a woman asked curiously. "We were locked up here," Wu Xiaodao replied with a smile. "Big sister, can you save us?" Unexpectedly, when those people heard her words, their expressions all changed. That woman still giggled and said, "Who locked you all up here? Where's the person who locked you up?" "He went down into the pool. Before he went down, he locked us up here." Wu Xiaodao looked at them pitifully. When they heard that someone went down into the water, those people's expressions became even uglier. For a moment, more than 10 people ignored the two of them and jumped into the water one after another, disappearing. Is my charm that low now? Wu Xiaodao touched his face. Am I still past the time when everyone loves me and flowers bloom? Wu Qiao didn't answer her, because at this time, someone ran over. Those people glanced at the two of them and jumped down without saying a word. As they jumped, they said, "That's right, it must be here. Fortunately, we're so close." Little Yao Yao, you didn't hit the jackpot and really found the entrance to the mausoleum, did you? Wu Xiaodao said in surprise. Wu Qiao pursed his lips. He really only felt that there were fluctuations of spiritual power below. Little Yao Yao, after we finish eating, will also go down to see. Wu Xiaodao was very excited, but he didn't interrupt him from eating the fish. We don't know what's going on down there, so we're not in a hurry to go down. Wu Xiaodao didn't urge him to hurry up and eat, which made him feel very happy. Although this sister always caused some trouble, she was very considerate towards her family. They just ate here, watching wave after wave of people go down, but none of them came up. The water in the pool was full and turned red. Every wave of people would look at them strangely, but they also knew from these people why this place was suddenly so lively. The divination sect leader personally said that the entrance to the mausoleum was under a blade landscape. Wasn't he talking about this place? That fraud is Fuxi's second master, right? If that was the case, then Fuxi and his master were both here? Should we tell mother that her friends are here? Wu Xiaodao asked. Chapter 2261. This news should have spread like wildfire by now. Mother might already know about it. Wu Qiao finished the last bit of the fish soup. Wu Xiaodao kept the bowls, chopsticks and table and asked, "Are we going down now?" Wu Qiao nodded. "Almost. There are many people down there now. If we go down now, we won't attract too much attention." "Then let's go." Wu Xiaodao took out a red bead. After injecting spiritual energy into it, he placed the bead on the barrier. As the bead emitted a red light, the barrier around the bead began to disappear. In a few moments, it completely collapsed. This thing is really useful. Wu Xiaodao kept the bead. Fortunately, Uncle Ming gave us this before we left. Otherwise, this barrier would be difficult to break. Let's go down. After Wu Qiao finished speaking, he pressed something on his belt, and a halo appeared around him, enveloping him from head to toe. Wu Xiaodao pressed something as well. When her protective barrier formed, the two of them jumped into the pool together. Not long after, Sima Yue and Jiananshin also arrived. She smiled when she saw the fish bones by the pool. These two little fellows were clearly kidnapped, but they were still so relaxed. "I didn't expect there to be a mausoleum here." Jiananshin sighed. He and Yanji had already recovered from their injuries. They were about to bid farewell to Sima Yue when they heard Master Jun's prophecy. Since there really was a mausoleum here, they had to take a look. "Let's go down." Sima Yue was worried about the two little fellows and jumped down first. Jiananshin wanted to remind her that she had already sunk to the bottom of the pool without a protective barrier. The two of them hurriedly formed a protective barrier and saw that she was completely fine. Upon closer inspection, there was a faint glow on her body that isolated her from the water. From above, it looked like a small pool. However, when they came down, they realized that there was another world here. Sima Yue used the faint glow to observe the surroundings. She waved at Jiananshin and the three of them swam towards the cave at the side. There were many corpses floating in the water. Sima Yue nimbly avoided them. Not far ahead, Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao were also carefully avoiding the corpses. "Little Yao Yao, this place is too strange." Wu Xiaodao dodged a corpse and caught up to Wu Qiao. "So many people have died below and we have been up there for so long but we haven't heard anything. It is indeed very strange. Stay close to me and don't run around." Wu Qiao turned around and warned her. "I know." Wu Xiaodao followed him closely, no longer running around. The two of them passed through the long and narrow cave. The deeper they went, the more corpses they saw. Those miserable deaths made people want to vomit. Fortunately, they had reached the end of the cave. They no longer had to endure being in the water with the corpses. "There's some kind of power in front that is blocking the water here." Wu Qiao said. It's true. Wu Xiaodao stretched his neck to take a look. Let's be careful. And you walk behind me. Wu Qiao held Wu Xiaodao's hand, preventing any forces from separating them. The two of them carefully walked forward and came to the edge of the cave. The expected attack did not appear. The two of them held hands and jumped into the cave. It was very wide and deep. The two of them jumped down and felt as if they were supported by something. Then, they landed steadily on the ground. It was very wide, like a plaza. There were many corpses lying on the ground. Some of them were still warm. It was obvious that the battle had just ended. Aren't these people too crazy? They haven't even entered and they've already killed so many. If they go in and see the treasure, they'll kill until even their ancestors don't know. Wu Xiaodao curled his lips. At the entrance of the tomb, they've already lost their minds. They can't wait to kill everyone so that they can monopolize this tomb. Wu Qiao said indifferently, "What's more, this is the tomb of an almighty. Those people want to get some useful information from here so that they can break through the monarch realm and enter eternal life." Is this really the tomb of an almighty? Since they're already eternal life, how can they still die? They even made such a tomb. Are these people stupid? Wu Xiaodao sneered. They have to have something to look forward to. Otherwise, they'll feel that life is hopeless. That's true. Wu Xiaodao agreed with his words, but our luck is really good. We didn't encounter any fights. With their current strength, if they encountered such a fight, they could only be cannon fodder. The two of them came to the entrance of the tomb. The door had already been opened and there were two corpses lying at the entrance. Both of them had their eyes open. They died with grievances. They had already come here but they didn't have a chance to go in. How could they be reconciled? I heard that these tombs have mechanisms. Will we be shot into a hole? Wu Xiaodao said with a smile. He wasn't afraid at all. Even if there are mechanisms, they would have been triggered by the people in front. At this time, the most dangerous thing is still the people. Wu Qiao replied. We're so weak. Maybe others won't deal with us. Wu Qiao glanced at her and didn't respond to her baseless words. The two of them followed the direction of the corpses and walked in. Along the way, they would occasionally see a few corpses. Some were killed by people while others were killed by mechanisms. It seemed like they had made a wise decision to follow the path of others. This tomb is a bit strange. Wu Qiao looked at the corpses and said with a frown. How is it strange? Don't you think that there are too few mechanisms in this tomb? Wu Qiao asked. Although the two of them had been following behind others, it wasn't to the extent that they hadn't encountered any mechanisms. No matter how powerful the people in front were, it was impossible for them to destroy all the mechanisms. Wu Xiaodao didn't think so. Didn't we also encounter a fork in the road? Maybe we were lucky enough to choose a safer route. Besides, we've already come here. Can we not continue forward? Wu Xiaodao was right. They had already come here. They couldn't give up halfway. The two of them continued forward. They encountered several forks in the road. Every time, the two of them chose based on intuition. They didn't know if it was really as Xiaodao said. The two of them were very lucky. Anyway, the two of them didn't encounter any danger along the way. Wu Qiao felt around the wall for a while. He found a small spot that wasn't prominent and pressed it down. The stone room was opened. Wu Xiaodao saw the coffin in the stone room at the back. There were also 3 or 4 people. The originally tense atmosphere in the stone chamber was immediately eased by the appearance of the two of them. Chapter 2262. The people in the stone room were very surprised to see Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao. They had all gone through untold hardships to reach this step. Even if it was them, they were more or less injured. But these two little guys did not have any injuries on their bodies. Even their clothes were not wrinkled. The two of them walked through the dangerous mausoleum like it was flat ground. This was too inconceivable. Could it be that they were stronger than them? Impossible. The two of them were clearly only in their teens. How could they be 2 old monsters? The little old man saw that the two of them were unharmed and said, "How did you two get here?" "We walked over." Wu Xiaodao's question made people stumble. How is that possible? You two are not injured at all. Who would believe that you walked over like this? A woman shouted. Old 8, you know them? A tall and thin old man asked. A pair of eyes swept over Wu Xiaodao's body. Wu Xiaodao did not like this feeling. I know them. The little old man told them about how he caught them. Are you sure they don't have any strength? Your barrier is so powerful. If they really did what you said, how could they come out of the barrier? The woman questioned his words. Chi, it's just a barrier. What's so difficult about it? You want to trap us with it? You're too naive. Wu Xiaodao sneered. How did you come out of my barrier? The little old man asked in a deep voice. No matter what barrier it is, a knot-breaking bead was enough to solve it. Wu Xiaodao said proudly. These two little guys are too strange. I think we should first deal with them before we talk about opening the coffin? The middle-aged man who had not spoken until now stared at Wu Qiao and said, these two children gave people a very strange feeling. He was not sure who was behind these two children. Compared to these familiar old guys, it was better to deal with these two unstable factors first. The little old man was a bit hesitant. Wu Qiao still had some ability. If it were not for him, he would not have been the first to come to the mausoleum. If he kept him, he might be useful in the future. But looking at the other three people, they did not want to keep them. If he insisted on keeping them, he would become enemies with the other three. They did not form an alliance. If the three of them fought against him because of this, he had no chance of winning. Therefore, after struggling for a while, he agreed to their suggestion. Wu Qiao pulled Wu Xiaodao behind him and looked at the 4 peak monarch rank people who were emitting killing intent without showing any fear. His aura made it seem as if he was the one overlooking the world. This caused the 4 of them to be shocked, and they were even more certain that they were not ordinary people. The more unusual they were, the more they had to be dealt with as soon as possible to avoid more trouble. Just as they were about to make a move, the stone door in the other direction was opened. 3 people who looked to be in a sorry state but were not injured walked in from the outside. It seems that our speed is still relatively slow. Kane and Xen quickly sized up the people in the room and recognized 2 of them. Since the other 2 were able to confront them, it meant that their strength was about the same as theirs. Sima Yue looked at Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao. Both of them were unscathed, which made her heart settle down. This mausoleum was very strange. If the 2 of them encountered any danger, she might not be able to rush to their side immediately. Looking at how Wu Qiao was protecting Wu Xiaodao with one hand and forming a seal with the other, she immediately understood the situation before they came. These people actually wanted to kill the 2 of them. The woman glanced at Sima Yue and the other 2 and did not put them in her eyes. They were not powerful people, so there was no need to care. On the contrary, it was better to deal with these 2 children of unknown origin first. She condensed her spiritual power and attacked Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao. Because they were in the tomb, the power she used was small after all, but it was still not something that the 2 children could resist. However, the power was swallowed by a black fog when it approached them. The black fog gradually gathered and slowly formed the appearance of a man. It was Xiao He who had transformed into a human. Xiao He looked at the woman and attacked in a flash. He actually forced the woman to the point where she was unable to fight back. They actually had such a powerful person by their side. They were indeed not ordinary people. When the middle-aged man saw this, he would not let them go. While Xiao He and the woman were fighting, he attacked Wu Qiao. Mi-air came down from Wu Xiaodao's arm and caught the middle-aged man's palm. Because both of them were not weak, the mausoleum trembled. However, he did not know what the almighty person used to build the mausoleum. It did not collapse even after such a fight. It was no wonder that they were not afraid at all when they had 2 people who were at the peak of the monarch rank by their side. It was no wonder that the 2 little fellows did not panic when they were held hostage for a few days. It turned out that they had such a thing to rely on. But since they had such powerful people by their side, why were they willing to follow him for so long? The little old man stared at Wu Qiao and Wu Xiaodao, wanting to see the answer from them. Old 8, what are you still standing there for? If we don't kill these 2 people, we will leave behind trouble in the future. The thin and tall man shouted at the little old man. The little old man was a little tempted. The man saw that he was still hesitating and his figure moved, about to attack Wu Qiao. You 4 old men are bullying 2 children. This is shameless to a certain extent. Sima Yue crossed her arms in front of her chest and said faintly, "If you don't want to die, don't get involved." The thin and tall man shouted, "I really want to get involved. What can you do to me?" Sima Yue shouted, "I will deal with you after I take care of those 2 people." The thin and tall man glanced at her and turned to attack Wu Qiao. Jia Nanxin saw the killing intent in the man's eyes. This was a peak of the monarch rank. Why did she want to get involved? But before he could say anything, she disappeared from his side. The thin and tall man flew over to attack Wu Qiao in an instant. But the 2 people who were in front of them just now disappeared. Looking at the empty stone room door, he was stunned. "With your speed, you are still a little slow." A faint voice came from behind, shouting with undisguised sarcasm. He turned around and saw Sima Yue standing in the same place, as well as Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao beside her. Everyone was shocked. How did this person do it? But the next scene was even more shocking. They saw Wu Xiaodao hugging Sima Yue. His eyes instantly turned red as he shouted at her, "Mother, when did you come to the mountain? I missed you so much." What? This woman was the mother of these 2 children? Jia Nanxin was stunned by the scene in front of her. Sima Yue didn't push this little girl away. Was she really their mother? Chapter 2263. Sima Yue hugged Wu Xiaodao and patted her back. "Mother has always been here." Mother has always been here? Wu Xiaodao was stunned. She looked at Wu Qiao. He was not surprised at all and said, "Little Yao Yao, you know that mother has always been following us?" Wu Qiao replied. If he did not know that Sima Yue was beside them, he would not have been so calm from the beginning. "Little Yao Yao, you didn't even tell me." Wu Xiaodao was unhappy. Why did he know but she did not? "All right, now is not the time to talk about this." Sima Yue comforted her. "Let's settle the matter here first." "Yes, I'll deal with you later." Wu Xiaodao glared at Wu Qiao and stood beside Sima Yue obediently. "Yue, you really have children?" Jia Nanxin was shocked. "Yes, this is Xiaodao, this is little Yao Yao." Sima Yue pointed at Jia Nanxin and said, "Call him Uncle Jia Nanxin." "Uncle Jia Nanxin." The 2 children said in unison. "Good children." Jia Nanxin nodded at them. The little old man and the tall skinny man looked at Sima Yue. They no longer looked down on her after she saved them. "Old 8, are you still going to stand by and do nothing?" The tall skinny man asked. But the tall skinny man alone might not be able to deal with Sima Yue, so the little old man had to take action this time. Jia Nanxin and Yan Ji could be ignored. They could definitely deal with Sima Yue together. "This place is so small, I think it's better if we don't fight." Jia Nanxin said, "If this place collapses, not only will everyone be injured, we will also not be able to get the inheritance." 1 against 2, he was worried that Sima Yue would not be able to handle it. "Mother, forget it, let's go?" Wu Jiao said. Sima Yue looked at Wu Qiao, he winked at her and nodded. "Then let's go." "Me-er, Nameless, come back." Me-er and Xiao Hei obviously had the upper hand. When they heard Sima Yue's order, they returned without hesitation. "Mother, let's go that way." Wu Xiaodao pointed at the path they came from. Canaan, Xian and Yan Ji were only able to come this far because of Sima Yue. They had also obtained some treasures on their way here. They knew that they would not be able to obtain anything in the end, so they did not hesitate to leave with them. The little old man and the others stared at them as they left. No one said anything to stop them. If they were to fight against these people, they might not necessarily win. Now that they had taken the initiative to leave, the 4 of them did not have to worry about them snatching the inheritance. After he left, the 4 of them returned to their initial confrontation. However, it was different now because 2 of them were injured by Mi-er and Xiao Hei. The lanky man and the small old man looked at each other and attacked the remaining 2 people at the same time. The 4 of them were originally evenly matched, but because of the interlude, the balance was broken. Sima Yue knew that once they left, the 4 of them would definitely fight. However, This had nothing to do with them anymore. Wu Qiao led the group back the way they came. They did not encounter any danger along the way. When they were about to leave the tomb, they met a few people. When those people saw them, their first reaction was to go forward and rob them. However, they were all killed by Mi Er and Xiao He. When they reached the pool, there were even more corpses here. The entire pool was densely packed and it made one's scalp tingle. Seeing those corpses, Sima Yue frowned and called little birdie out. Even though it was in the water, it quickly burned those corpses and burned a path. What they did not know was that when little birdie came out, a few closed eyes opened together. He was back, Sima Yue and the rest came out of the pool. Little birdie returned to her body. Qi Yan suddenly sent her a message, "Don't reveal my aura in the future." Sima Yue was shocked. What's wrong? Qi Yan told her about how he was discovered. Sima Yue was a little regretful. Why didn't you stop me just now? What if she really brought trouble to him because of her? You don't have to worry. I deliberately let them discover me. Qi Yan's voice was colder than before. I haven't been back for so many years. I want to see how powerful they are. However, because he was not confident and did not know the current situation in the divine territory, Sima Yue could not reveal his aura. I understand. Sima Yue replied. However, since they can discover that you are back, then Fushi, he has not completely evolved into the green dragon. Therefore, they will not take him seriously. Moreover, he has people protecting him. What Qi Yan did not say was that one of the important reasons why they let Fushi go was because only the green dragon was here. Moreover, his power had not been inherited. However, now that he was here, they would pay more attention to him. Mother, what are you thinking about? Wu Xiaodao held Sima Yue's hand. You don't look good at all. I prefer Mother's look. Sima Yue removed her fusion with Thousand Resonance and returned to her original appearance. Mother, did you turn into a lot of people and follow us? Wu Xiaodao said with certainty. Your brother is much more sensitive than you. Sima Yue said. He only knows how to play. He doesn't even know that someone is following us. Wu Xiaodao laughed. She was indeed not as sensitive as little Yao Yao. However, she also knew that Sima Yue and Wu Qiao did not tell her because they wanted her to play freely. Oh right, little Yao Yao, why did you let us out just now? The coffin is empty. There is nothing inside. Wu Qiao said. I see. You are right. We came here for nothing. Wu Xiaodao thought about how she did not get anything this time and felt a little depressed. Jian and Xian sized up Wu Qiao. She did not know why he was so sure. Sima Yue and Wu Xiaodao did not even need to check before believing him. Since we have entered the tomb, let's go out. Little Dan is still waiting for us outside. Sima Yue said. Jian and Xian heard Jian and Dan's name and nodded in agreement. They had originally planned to leave. Now that they were able to get some treasures in the tomb, it was already an unexpected surprise. He was also quite satisfied. Then I will call Little Roar and the rest back. Sima Yue was just about to contact Little Roar when she heard him crying for help. Little Yu, come quickly. We are going to be caught and eaten. Little Roar cried. Sima Yue sensed for a moment and her face darkened. She said to Jianan Xen and Yanji, wait for me here. As soon as she finished speaking, her figure suddenly vanished on the spot without the slightest fluctuation, and this scene caused Jianan to be extremely shocked. In these few decades, how much had she grown? Chapter 2264. Sima Yue and Little Roar were not far from each other, so it did not take long for them to reach there. When she came out of the space and saw the scene in front of her, she shivered. She saw hundreds of people surrounding Little Seven and the rest, and even used some medicine on them, making everyone else immobile except for Little Hua. Little Hua was strong, but he could not withstand so many people, and there were still people coming from afar. Very good. Yue was anxious, so she hid her presence in the air, and then used the top-grade purple lightning in her body to attract the lightning tribulation. Those people were still chasing after them, and when Little Seven and the rest saw the tribulation cloud above their heads, their eyes were filled with joy. Yu was here, they were saved. The people on the ground did not notice the dark clouds above their heads at first, as they were all excited. The eye of the earth, just a little bit would help them increase their strength. Seeing little Seven like this, she probably had quite a few original bodies. They did not want to monopolize it, even if they could get a share of it, it would be good. When they felt a different energy locking onto them, they woke up from their dream and looked up at the tribulation cloud in the sky. They knew that they were locked onto by the tribulation cloud and immediately panicked. Why is there a tribulation cloud? So many people, it was not known who shouted, but everyone recovered from their shock and became even more panicked. With so many strong people gathered together, how strong would the tribulation cloud be? Who exactly attracted the lightning tribulation? Haha, who asked you to poison me? This time, I'll let you have a taste of being barbecued. Little Roar laughed. Although he could not use his spiritual energy, his voice was still loud, and in this chaotic space, it could still be heard very far. What? This tribulation cloud was actually related to them? Although the people outside saw the tribulation cloud, they had already entered and were locked onto in an instant. Thus, the tribulation cloud's range became bigger and bigger, and the energy became stronger and stronger. Those with fast eyes and quick reactions saw that the tribulation cloud had stopped, and the number of people who entered the tribulation decreased. At this time, those who were flying in the sky had already landed on the ground, as if they were thinking that if they were shorter, the tribulation cloud might strike those who were taller first. In this way, everyone saw Sima Yue who was standing in the sky, her eyes filled with killing intent. You're finally here. If you didn't come, you wouldn't have been able to see us again. Woo woo woo. Little Roar howled sadly. Sima Yue waved her hand and a force swept the beasts into the air. She took out an antidote and fed it to them. Once the poison was cured, they would be able to stand by her side. Xiaohua transformed into a little doll and stood beside her. Thank you for your hard work. Sima Yue patted Xiaohua's head and praised him. These people poisoned little Seven and the others. This poison was overbearing. No matter if it was plant type or animal type, they couldn't use spiritual energy. Therefore, it could be said that Xiaohua was the only one protecting them along the way. Xiaohua was not happy to be praised. Xiaohua is still not strong enough. If he had been stronger, no one would have been injured. You're already very good. Sima Yue said, go back when the lightning tribulation starts. Now, we can watch the ugliness of those people in the face of death. Why did you attract the lightning tribulation? Someone shouted. Those panicking people quieted down and stared at Sima Yue with hatred. Sima Yue was so angry that she laughed. She moved her mind and a small throne appeared behind her. She sat on it and bent down to look at the people below. Before you ask such a childish question, did you ask yourself if you brought your brain with you? You poisoned my contracted beasts and chased them here. The one who asked this question, tell me, why did I attract the lightning tribulation? What about me? You wanted to kill my contracted beasts. Didn't you think that someone would kill you? Sima Yue didn't give that person any time to reply. She sneered, I just don't know if you can bear the result. Do you know who we are? Aren't you afraid of revenge for killing like this? Someone threatened. Why do I need to know who you are? Little Purple appeared in her arms, and her hand caressed its back, looking extremely lazy. She had a smile on her face, but it was like a devil's snare blooming in hell. No matter who you are, it's the same to me. Anyone who dares to have ideas about my spirit beasts only has one identity, my enemy. So, don't say such childish words. The tribulation clouds in the sky were still thickening. This meant that the lightning tribulation was still getting stronger. The people below were scared out of their wits. But they couldn't leave. They could only see if they had any way to survive. The lightning tribulation here had attracted the attention of the entire Deer God Mountain. This level of lightning tribulation was going to destroy the entire Deer God Mountain. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao saw the tribulation clouds and shouted, not good, someone made Mother angry. After saying that, the two of them flew towards the tribulation clouds. Jia Nanxin and Yan Ji were worried about them and also flew over. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao flew outside the tribulation clouds and stopped. Seeing the densely packed people, they were worried. Little Yao Yao, will mother be okay? She won't be. Wu Qiao didn't know how these people offended Sima Yue, but they must have angered her quite a bit. That's why she chose to use this method to deal with them. The tribulation clouds in the sky almost reached the ground. This was the first time in the divine realm that something like this had happened. Pa! A bolt of lightning struck down. It didn't hit Sima Yue, but instead, it struck the people below. With the first bolt, the rest of the tribulation lightnings struck down one after another. It was like a rain of lightning. This scene shocked the people outside who were watching the show. Sima Yue sat on the small throne and looked at the various reactions of the people below. The large bolts of lightning were absorbed by Little Purple when they landed on her body. The normal bolts of lightning circled around her body and fell into the spirit pool. Everyone else was struck into charcoal, but she was completely fine. Mother's clothes were specially refined for the lightning tribulation. How could they be burnt? Wu Xiaodao said proudly. Jia Nanxin looked at Sima Yue, who was in the middle of the lightning tribulation. She didn't know how to look at her martial granduncle anymore. Thinking of the time when she was in the hidden sect, and thinking of her strength this time, she sympathized with these people. Of all the people they could provoke, they had to provoke her. The lightning tribulation struck for a whole day tirelessly, killing and crippling those people. Only then did the cloud spirit pat its butt and leave. Thousands of people fell to the ground. This time, it was a real black mass. Sima Yue got up and kept the small throne. She carried Little Purple in her arms and said faintly, "If you're not convinced, you can come and find me. Anyway, I haven't attracted lightning to temper my body in a long time." After saying that, she suddenly appeared in front of Wu Xiaodao and the rest. Then she left with Wu Xiaodao and the rest, leaving behind a ground of charcoal. Chapter 2265. The trees on Mount Dear God were chopped down and the ground was scorched. The corpses were beyond recognition and could not be identified. This tragic scene was unforgettable for the rest of their lives. As for the culprit, she was still elegantly dressed. She left with her people, leaving them with a clear and beautiful back view. Those people wanted to get the eye of Earth but were shocked by her move and did not dare to act recklessly. What a joke! Who would dare to go up to someone who was unharmed in such a strong lightning tribulation? Wasn't that just seeking death? What if she was in a bad mood and attracted the lightning tribulation again? Who could escape unscathed? Thinking of Little Seven and the rest, they were not satisfied. Such a treasure was actually someone else's contracted beast. How good would it be if they could get it? Sima Yue brought the group out of Mount Dear God and came out of the space. Sima Yue called out a few beasties, wanting to ask about what happened. Little Roar, are you being playful again? Sima Yue asked with a solemn face. Little Roar had been holding back his anger. He felt that he was the one who wanted Little Seven to go with them. At that time, he thought that Little Seven was strong and would be safe with her. If he did not bring it up, it would not have led to such a situation and implicated everyone. Although he was saved in the end, he still felt very guilty. Now that Sima Yue asked, he started crying. You can't blame Little Roar for this. Little Dream said, we were in the mountains previously and heard about the tomb from those spirit beasts. Little Roar did not do anything overboard. It was a coincidence that Little Seven's identity was discovered. We did not expect that someone with such mediocre strength would be able to sniff out Little Seven's real body. That's true. There were many people and Little Seven's identity was spread. Hua Hua spoke up for Little Roar. Little Yu, I'm sorry. If I did not insist on going out, it would not have led to such a situation. Little Seven lowered her head and clenched her fists in regret. They all knew that if Little Seven's identity was exposed, it would bring a lot of trouble to Sima Yue. So they all blamed themselves. Since this matter has already been discovered, let's not think about it anymore. Sima Yue hugged Little Roar. As for Little Seven, I want to see how many people are willing to sacrifice their lives for treasures. When Kanan Xen saw the murderous intent emanating from her body, she thought about how she had killed so many people without expending a single soldier. She knew it was because she was angry, but she did not expect it to be because of her contracted beast. No one knew who this little seven was to actually attract so many people to fight over her. Soon he received the news. Little Seven looked at the girl who was about the same age as Wu Xiaodao. She didn't expect her to be the Eye of Earth. When they returned to the inn, Sima Yue asked him to wait for a while. She went out and soon returned with Cain and Dan. When Cain and Dan saw Cain and Exen, she ran over excitedly and hugged him. "Brother, I've finally met you." Cain and Xian's usually cold face finally revealed a trace of a smile when he saw Cain and Exen. However, it was fleeting, and in the next second, he returned to his cold expression. Not only that, he even pulled Cain and Dan from his body and slapped his butt twice. He shouted, "Do you know your mistake?" Cain and Dan's excited little face immediately collapsed. She lowered her head and admitted her mistake. "I heard that you were in danger, so, do you know how many guards you've lost by coming out so rashly? If you hadn't met Yue coincidentally and brought you here, do you think you'd still be alive? If something were to happen to you, what would I do? What would the family do?" Cain and Xian reprimanded. Cain and Dan thought about the guards who had died and blamed himself. He cried out, "I didn't want them to die, but they're all dead. It's all my fault. Woo woo woo, big brother, I was wrong." Before this, he did not shed a single tear in front of Sima Yue. Now that he saw his family, the fear and self-blame in his heart gushed out. He hugged Cain and Xian and cried. Cain and Xian sighed. In the end, it was because he wasn't strong enough that he couldn't protect him. Sima Yue gave him a look and opened the door to leave. Wu Xiaodao came out from the room next door. He looked at Sima Yue and said, "Mother, are we going back to Canaan's house with him?" Sima Yue shook her head. "We're not going. We'll go back to the Chan family first." "Mother, why do you want to go back to the Chan family?" Wu Xiaodao asked curiously. "I have nothing to do anyway," Sima Yue said and went back to her room. Wu Xiaodao shrank into Wu Qiyao's room and said, "Little Yao Yao, do you know why Mother wants to go back to the Chan family? Mother is the young master of the 9 Nether clan. What's so strange about going back?" Wu Qiao said lightly. "Mother didn't say that she wanted to go back. Maybe she changed her mind." Wu Qiao said, "She's going back anyway. It's just that it's early. If you're really curious, you can ask Mother." Wu Xiaodao pursed his lips. Mother would tell her. Why would she ask him? In less than 2 days, Canaan's people came looking for them. Sima Yue saw the huge group of people and knew that Canaan Xian and the rest could go back without a problem. "Yue's sister, come to our place to play when you're free." Canaan Xian couldn't bear to part with Yue and the rest. Her little eyes were red. Canaan Xian nodded at Sima Yue and left with her people. Sima Yue called Chanjiu out. He was familiar with the divine territory and naturally knew how to get to the Chan family. However, before they left the inn, they met the first group of people who came to snatch Little Seven. Maybe it was because they were afraid of her ability to pass the tribulation, those people attacked without saying a word. It was as if they didn't want to give her a chance to trigger the lightning tribulation. This woman wasn't very strong. As long as they didn't give her a chance to trigger the lightning tribulation, they would definitely be able to kill her. As long as she died, the Eye of the Earth would be without an owner. They attacked fiercely the moment they arrived. Sima Yue obviously knew what they were trying to do. However, if they wanted to kill her with this kind of strength, they were dreaming too much. Sima Yue called me air and the rest out. The few of them each took on a few people and finished off all the people who came. These people are really fast. Looks like we have to leave this place quickly. Sima Yue kept them into the spirit pagoda and took out a small throne to sit on. After sitting on it, she disappeared immediately. Not long after she left, thousands of people came to the inn. They were all people who came from Dear God Mountain. When they surrounded the inn and saw the corpses, they knew that Sima Yue had escaped. They were all filled with regret. Chapter 2266. Liao City wasn't very eye-catching in the divine realm because there weren't any particularly powerful forces here. That wasn't right either. This place used to be very prosperous before the 9 Nether clan declined. Sima Yue didn't find Shan Shan immediately after arriving at Liao City. Instead, she found an inn to stay in. Wu Xiaodao leaned on Sima Yue, holding her hand and resting her head on her shoulder. This was her favorite action since she was young. "Mother, why aren't we going back now that we're here?" She realized that she didn't know what her mother was thinking ever since she came out of Dear God Mountain. She was the one who said she wanted to come back, but she didn't go back after coming back. She didn't understand. "Let's meet 2 people first before going back." Sima Yue patted her hand. "This is the Chan family's territory. If you and Xiao Yaoyao want to go out, you can go out and play." Wu Xiaodao rolled her eyes and said with a smile, "Okay. Xiao Yaoyao, come out with me." Wu Qiao got up and followed her out. When they were outside, he asked, "What do you want to do now?" "Let's find father?" Wu Xiaodao said. "I have a feeling that mother is going to do something later. With father around, no one can bully mother." Wu Qiao smiled. "It's rare for you to be smart for once." "What's smart for once? I'm very smart." Wu Xiaodao shook her fist at her brother. "Since you agree with my idea, let's contact father. It will probably take him a few days to settle the matters at hand." "No need, I've already told father." Wu Qiao said. "You've already told father? Why didn't you tell me?" Wu Xiaodao was angry. "A few days ago. You didn't think of this yourself. If I told you, you would have turned around and told mother." Wu Qiao stared at his sister. He knew her personality too well. Wu Xiaodao pouted and didn't refute his words. She continued, "Then is father coming over soon? Will he not be able to put aside his matters and come over?" "He won't," Wu Xiaodao said with certainty. "What did you tell father?" After mother came to the divine realm, many wild bees and butterflies appeared around her. A few of them were not bad. "Didn't you want to go shopping? Let's go." After Wu Qiao finished speaking, he walked out. Wu Xiaodao thought about what he said and happily chased after him. "That's a good idea." "Yes. But since you're doing this behind my back, you'll have to accompany me for a while." "All right." "Xiao Yaoyao, you have such a cold personality. Can you find a wife in the future?" Sima Yue was in the room. When she saw the 2 little guys leave, she wasn't that worried. However, she still let Chanjiu follow them. Ever since she left Dear God Mountain, she knew that many people were searching for her whereabouts. These people wanted to take advantage of Little Seven, but it was still a small matter, so she didn't care. What she cared about was the other group of people walking in the god's domain, the people from the 4 palaces. On the way to Liao City, she noticed that almost every city had people from the 4 palaces. Taotai Palace, Qiongqi Palace, Primal Chaos Palace, and Nightmare Palace. Moreover, they didn't hide their movements from the world, so everyone knew what the 4 palaces were up to. For them to move out together was something that hadn't happened in tens of thousands of years. For a moment, everyone was anxious. Many people guessed that something big was going to happen in the god's domain. Sima Yue knew what they were looking for. The divine bird Vermilion Bird's aura had appeared. Others might not have noticed it, but the 4 old monsters would definitely sense it. The 4 ferocious beasts and the 4 divine beasts were old enemies. Last time, they used some unknown method to defeat the 4 divine beasts and allowed them to rule the god's domain. They all thought that the Vermilion Bird was dead. They didn't expect it to return after so many years. She sat by the window and watched the people coming and going below until a few people appeared silently in the room. Seeing that she wasn't surprised, they raised their eyebrows. "You were waiting for us?" "Master Jun, I've long heard of your name." Sima Yue stood up and bowed. "You knew we were coming?" The man in the lead was Fushi's second master, the divinator, Jun Bai. Jun Bai's aura was different from Yin Lin, Hong Yuan, and Xiao Tong. He didn't have an unfathomable look. His chubby body and smiling face looked very down-to-earth. Jun Bai looked at her with a smile and sized her up. "Little girl, I've finally met you." Sima Yue smiled. "Is Fushi doing well?" "He's in seclusion, going through the final awakening and inheritance. Before you came." Jun Bai said. "When he comes out, he won't be that little guy anymore. When he comes out, the divine dragon will return and the 4 seas will submit to him. The 4 palaces will let him complete it smoothly? Sima Yue didn't expect Fushi to be at the most critical moment. They were so nervous about Qi Yan. If Fushi came, they wouldn't sit still. The 4 palaces naturally won't, but aren't you helping? Junbai said. Sima Yue was stunned for a moment, then understood. That day, the 4 great beasts sensed Qi Yan's aura and disappeared in an instant. They naturally sent more people to track him down. This way, Fushi's side would have an easier time. That day, I just wanted to alert the enemy. I didn't expect it to be so effective. She smiled. But this is good. Your situation isn't optimistic. Junbai found a seat and sat down, as if he was familiar with them. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. This person wanted to find trouble for her the moment he appeared? Don't look at me like that. Junbai said as he took out 2 walnuts and started cracking them. He really looked like Fushi in the past. The people he brought didn't react at all. They were probably used to it. Junbai cracked open a walnut and said as he picked out the pulp, "Originally, I didn't want to tell you all this when you came, but you don't have the time now and are too weak. If those guys catch hold of you and destroy you one by one, you won't have a chance to turn things around. These years, the 4 palaces have become more and more powerful. Previously, there were still some righteous forces, such as the Juyo clan and the Kanan family. Unfortunately, they're all gone now. So, if you want to completely defeat the 4 great beasts, you still need the 4 great divine beasts to gather. It seems like you want me to find the other 2 divine beasts?" Sima Yue immediately guessed his purpose. Junbai gave her a look that said, "You're so smart. There's a connection between the 4 great divine beasts and can deduce the location of the other 2. So, you really need to do this. Then why didn't you use Fushi to find them before?" Sima Yue asked. Chapter 2267. Junbai sighed. That sigh was filled with sorrow. Back then, Fushi was in a critical situation and almost didn't make it in time. Fortunately, they were still luckier. Feeling emotional, Junbai's tone became heavier. Fushi hasn't completed his final awakening, so he can't be considered a true divine dragon. The divination can't be very accurate. Even when I went to find you last time, it was because you had interacted with Yuan Shaojia. It's possible to wait for him to come out this time, but you don't have that much time. Moreover, among the 4 divine beasts, the vermilion bird is the leader. He has an extraordinary relationship with the other 3. With his aura, the divination will naturally be accurate. I see. Sima Yue nodded. So, you've divined the whereabouts of the other 2 divine beasts? If I had, I wouldn't have to make this trip. Junbai shook his head. When I do the divination, I need the vermilion bird to be present. Oh. Sima Yue understood. But not now. Once Qi Yan came out, the 4 divine beasts would be able to sense his aura. If she called Qi Yan out now, she would have to leave this place in the shortest time possible. She hadn't returned to the Chan family yet and didn't know the situation there. She didn't know if she could leave early, so she had to wait. But Junbai's small hammer paused. You'll have one more person when the time comes, so it'll be safer. Sima Yue didn't ask him who the extra person was, but from the looks of it he had just sensed it. Master Jun, I want to ask you something. She said. Go ahead. Junbai answered casually, not even raising his head. Asking a divination operator like him wasn't an ordinary question. Do you know about the Dark Dragon Guard? Sima Yue asked. Junbai's small hammer suddenly couldn't hit anymore. He hesitated for a moment, then kept the walnuts. Clapping his hands, he said, Let me do a divination for you. Sima Yue was a little surprised. She only wanted to ask about the Dark Dragon Guard to see if he knew about that dark thing. Why did he suddenly want to do a divination for her? Junbai didn't say much. He took out a fortune-telling tool and began to calculate. Sima Yue did not disturb him and sat down beside him. Junbai looked at the divination and frowned. He raised his head and glanced at Sima Yue. He seemed to hesitate for a moment, but also seemed to have made a decision. He pointed at the tea table and said, Extend your hand here. This was the first time he had seen a fortune-telling that required the hands of the person involved. Sima Yue muttered under her breath, but she still obediently let go of his hand. She originally thought that he was deliberately mystifying her, but when she put her hand in, she felt a guiding force lingering around her hand. She stared at her hands curiously. Piff, Junbai spat out a mouthful of blood, scaring those people into hurriedly running over. They took out a pill and fed it to him. Sima Yue didn't expect Junbai to vomit blood so quickly. Seeing that he was much better after taking the pill, she said guiltily, "I'm sorry, I didn't know it would be so serious." Junbai didn't say anything. He just looked straight at her with a complicated expression. Sima Yue saw him like this and her heart skipped a beat. She said, "What's wrong? Could it be that I can't find black tortoise and white tiger?" Junbai coughed. "The Dark Dragon Guard does have some history with you, but this time you can go without worry. He doesn't have the time to deal with you now. They will help you delay." She didn't know who they were, but she knew that if he said this, he must be confident. There was no other reason. Once she was found by Xian Qiuhe, the matter of finding white tiger and black tortoise would be ruined. Junbai and those people wouldn't let this happen. "We don't have anything to do these days. We'll just wait for you here." After Junbai finished speaking, the people behind him went to find the shopkeeper and asked for a small independent courtyard. After Sima Yue left, the people behind Junbai asked, "Master, are you all right?" "It's quite serious." Junbai sat down with the help of a chair and touched his chest, looking as if he was very hurt. "Master, why do we have to stay?" Another person asked. They didn't plan to stay and follow her. This was a decision he just made. "I'm already injured. Of course I have to stay and recuperate." Junbai snorted. "Give the order. Let them delay the Dark Dragon Guard. No matter what price they have to pay before the 4 great divine beasts return, they must not let the Dark Dragon Guard find trouble with her." "Yes, master." The two of them left, leaving Junbai alone. He sighed deeply and muttered, "This world is finally going to change. Little girl, this is your tribulation and also your life. After millions of years of reincarnation, it's finally going to return." Sima Yue returned to her own house. She wasn't as relaxed as she appeared to be just now. Junbai was a divine fortune-teller. He vomited blood and got injured just from a divination. This meant that his divination wasn't an ordinary one. He must have divined some heavenly secret. Heavenly secret related to her. She thought of the heavenly Tao. Could it be that Xian Qiuhe's matter was related to the heavenly Tao? Although she had her guesses, she didn't ask Junbai. Even if she asked, it was useless. He wouldn't tell her. When Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao returned from outside, she brought the 2 little fellows to bid farewell to Junbai. Junbai saw the 2 little fellows and raised his eyebrows. He patted his round face and praised, "Not bad, not bad. Master Jun, let's go back to the Chan family to take a look. If there's nothing else, I'll come back to find you." Sima Yue said. "No rush. When the time is right, I'll contact you." Junbai replied. "That's good too." Sima Yue didn't know what time he was talking about. She guessed that it wouldn't be too long. "I heard from Fushi that the principal was with you. I wonder where he is now." "Yuan Xiaojie and Feng Rian are at Luoya Palace. You don't have to worry," Junbai said. He thought for a while and added, "Before you return, the people around you are fine. You don't have to worry." Sima Yue's heart skipped a beat. "Before I return, they are fine. Why does this sound a little strange? All right, let's go. These old bones of mine won't delay your family's reunion." Junbai was afraid that she would ask him about something and said, "Family's reunion?" Sima Yue thought that he meant that he was going back to the Chan family. She only knew the true meaning of his words when they left the inn. Under the big tree opposite the inn, a man in a purple robe with an enchanting face watched the 3 of them come out. Sima Yue was stunned. She smiled and walked over. "Why are you here? Have you settled the matters in the Devil Realm?" Chapter 2268. Fly Swatter? Sima Yue was stunned for a moment before she reacted. It must have been the two little fellows who said it. How long can you stay? Very long. Sima Yue's smile deepened. Father, you're not going back to the devil world, right? Wu Xiaodao went up to hold Wu Lingyu's arm. The matters in the devil world have been settled. There's no need to go back. Wu Lingyu said. All these years he had been handling matters in the devil world. After the chaos, he needed to restore order. Now that those matters were back on track, he naturally did not need to stay in the devil world. Originally, he was almost done with the matters on hand, but not so early. When he received the news from Wu Qiyao, he handed over the last few matters to Hong Yuan and rushed over without stopping. However, it seemed that he was fooled by the little fellow. That's good. We're going to the Chan family. You can come along. Sima Yue said. He nodded and glanced at Wu Qiao. Chan Jiu brought them to the Chan family. When the Chan family heard about the lightning tribulation on Dear God Mountain, they guessed that Sima Yue had come to the divine realm. However, they did not expect her to come to the Chan family so quickly. The gatekeepers had never seen Sima Yue before, but they knew Chan Jiu. They also knew that Chan Jiu was ordered to protect Sima Yue. Hence, when they saw him and the people beside him, they guessed Sima Yue's identity. Young master is back. Quickly informed the clan leader. I'll go. Two of the gatekeepers ran in. The others came up and bowed to Sima Yue. Greetings to young master, right emissary. Everyone get up. Sima Yue waved her hand and everyone was pulled up by a force. Is grandmother here? The clan leader just came up 2 days ago. When she heard that young master came to the divine realm, she said that she would send someone to pick you up. Young master, please come with me. Sima Yue and the others followed that person in. Before they went far, they saw Chan Shan appear in front of them. Many people ran over, but when they saw that Chan Shan was there, they did not approach. Grandmother. Sima Yue bowed to Chan Shan. Wu Lingyu followed suit. Greetings, great-grandmother. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao bowed towards Chan Shan. Wu Xiaodao's voice was sweet. When she said that, Chan Shan's attention was on her. This must be Xiaodao and Xiao Yao Yao. They've grown so big. Come to grandmother Zeng. Wu Xiaodao obediently ran over and held Chan Shan's hand, saying coquettishly, Grandmother Zeng, Xiaodao has finally met you. Previously, Xiaodao had heard a lot of things about grandmother Zeng from his father and mother. He had always wanted to meet grandmother Zeng. Now, his wish was finally fulfilled. Grandmother, have you ever thought of Xiaodao? Sima Yue and Wu Qiao's lips twitched. Why didn't they know that she wanted to have a grandmother so much? This guy was really good at coaxing people. However, Chan Shan was indeed very happy after hearing this. She patted her hand and said, Grandmother Zeng also missed you very much. I knew Grandmother Zeng would miss me. Wu Xiaodao said happily. Let's go. Grandmother Zeng will take you around the clan. Chan Shan said with a smile. We're also very curious about the Nine Nether clan. Wu Xiaodao quickly replied. You guys can come too. Chan Shan said to Sima Yue and the others. You guys came back too suddenly. The clan has to prepare and hold a welcome banquet for you guys tonight. Okay, thank you grandmother. Sima Yue said with a smile. Thus, the group went to visit the clan. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao walked in front with Chan Shan. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu walked behind them. Chan Shan's personality was a bit cold. This was related to the fact that she had always led the Nine Nether clan. However, Wu Xiaodao was a smart guy. He knew how to make her happy. This personality, I really don't know who she takes after. Sima Yue sighed. That's good. Wu Lingyu doted on Wu Xiaodao. No matter what her personality was, he felt that it was very good. You just spoil her. Sima Yue glared at him. You say it like you don't spoil her. Wu Lingyu didn't want to take the blame alone. That's because you spoil her more. I like to spoil my daughter. Who dares to provoke her? Wu Lingyu said domineeringly. With Wu Xiaodao's identity, no one dared to casually touch her. He was willing to give her the capital to be willful. As they walked, Wu Qiao retreated. Chan Shan called Sima Yue to the front. The father and son tacitly slowed down their pace and fell behind the three girls in front. What happened? Wu Lingyu asked. Mother is in danger. Wu Qiao told him what happened after they arrived in the divine realm. Mother didn't plan to come to the Chan family so early. I think she wanted to leave me and my sister here and do something dangerous. My sister and I are weak. If we follow her, we will be a burden and distract her. So it's best to let father come. Then you lied to me? Wu Lingyu said with a sullen face. That way you'll come faster. Wu Qiao wasn't afraid of him. Wu Lingyu raised his eyebrows. This little guy was really asking for a beating. In front, Chan Shan was lecturing Sima Yue. I've already heard about the Eye of the Earth. You were too careless. You should have been more careful when you knew that everyone was crazy about the Eye of the Earth. How could you let others discover her identity? This will bring you a lot of trouble. In the future, when she walked around the divine realm, no matter what she did, there would be people eyeing her covetously. I know. I was careless this time. Sima Yue admitted, but things have already come to this. Let's take it one step at a time. Grandmother, you don't have to worry about Mother. As long as Mother is strong enough, those people won't dare to have any ideas about little Seven. Wu Xiaodao defended Sima Yue. My mother is still young. She will be very powerful in the future. You're right. In front of an absolute strong person, even if they have any ideas, they can only give up. Chan Shan went along with her words. Grandmother, is the 9th Netherworld clan doing well? Sima Yue asked. It's all right. The clan is fine. Chan Shan said, it's just that the clan's bloodline is getting weaker and weaker. That's why the 9th Netherworld clan status is getting lower and lower. Is there no way to activate the clan's bloodline? Sima Yue asked. We've been looking for it but we haven't found it yet. Chan Shan said, this can't be rushed. There will be a way. Sima Yue replied. The Chan family's decline was different from the Sima family. The Sima family declined due to the weakening of external conditions. As long as they were given enough conditions, they would be able to rise again. That's why she gave them a complete fusion spiritual technique, gave them pill recipes, gave them the imperial beast art and the method to search for spirits. She gave them contracts with ancient spiritual beasts and gave them some connections. The Sima family developed very quickly. The Chan family was different. They inherited the 9th Netherworld bloodline. The decline was due to the weakening of the bloodline. It was an internal reason. No matter how powerful she was, she couldn't change the clan's bloodline. Chapter 2269. Since she could not help much and there were no major issues in the clan, there was no need for her to stay here. Chan Shan sensed that she had something on her mind and brought them around before handing them over to the clan members and leaving with Sima Yue. Why did you come back so suddenly? Chan Shan asked. I really can't hide anything from grandmother. I have something to ask of you this time. Sima Yue smiled. I have to leave the divine realm for a period of time and I want to leave Xiao Dao and Xiao Yao Yao with the clan. It's rare that they have time to come out, so I'll let them stay outside for a while. When the time is up, Ming Hui will bring them to the divine realm. What are you going to do? Is it because of the vermilion bird? Yes. I'm going to look for black tortoise and white tiger. The relationship between the 4 great divine beasts and the 4 great divine beasts was not a secret in the divine realm. Now that the 4 palaces had made such a big move, it was not strange that Chan Shan would guess. So she had nothing to hide. Chan Shan did not say anything. After a moment of silence, he nodded. Since the 4 palaces have already noticed you, they will not allow you to develop. You will encounter many pursuers later on. Are you confident? No matter if I am confident or not, I have to do this. I have to find the other 2 divine beasts and let the 4 great divine beasts return to their positions. Only then can we deal with the 4 great divine beasts. Sima Yue said, so I have to go this time. The world will thank you for thinking this way. Chan Shan said. Ever since the 4 great divine beasts died or went missing, the divine realm had fallen under the rule of the 4 palaces. Many forces were destroyed and many people were in danger. If the four great divine beasts could return and overthrow the rule of the four great divine beasts, they would save everyone from this disaster. Sima Yue did not think so much. To be honest, she did not have any special feelings towards these people. She was doing this to take revenge for Qi Yen. Qi Yen could not defeat the four great divine beasts alone, so she would find the other two divine beasts and bring them back together. As for saving the world, it was just a matter of convenience. The two little fellows are protected by the people of the underworld. If they want to do anything, as long as they don't go against the four great divine beasts, let them do it. Let them train themselves. Sima Yu didn't want the two children to only know how to theorize without any practical experience. They had to walk their own path in the future. All right, Chan Shan replied. When are you leaving? It should be soon. Sima Yu said, Lord Jun asked me to wait. I'm guessing that Fu Shi is about to come out of seclusion, so I'm waiting for him to come with me. You've already met Junbai? Yes, before I meet him. He's still resting in the inn outside. Thinking of the divination he had done for her, she was momentarily absent-minded. I believe that you know your limits. Since you've already planned it out, I won't say anything more. Chan Shan's words pulled her back to reality. When the time comes, I'll get two elders to go with you. Fui's grandmother will go. Fu Shi and I will go alone. The smaller the number, the smaller the target. Sima Yu rejected her good intentions. Chan Shan knew that she would not mess around. Since she was not willing to let people follow her, she would let her be. At night, the Chan family held a welcome banquet for them. Knowing that the young master was back, everyone was happy and they drank a lot of wine. Sima Yue drank a lot. Seeing Wu Xiaodao and the others drinking so enthusiastically, she pulled her back to rest. Wu Lingyu and Wu Qiao saw the two of them leave and followed them back. After settling the two children down, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu went back to their room. Sima Yue took a shower and went back. She saw Wu Lingyu lying on the bed with one hand supporting her head and looking at her with a smile. That posture and those lustful eyes were all seducing her. Have you talked to grandmother? Wu Lingyu asked. I'll let grandmother take care of Xiaodao and Xiaoyao for me for a while. Sima Yue walked over. She had just gotten onto the bed when Wu Lingyu pulled her into his arms. When are we leaving? Someone's hands started to move. Let's see what Junbai says. Sima Yue said, he's injured. Let's go and see him tomorrow and ask him about his plans. Oh right, why did you suddenly come? Good nights are short. Let's not talk about those things anymore. The next day, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu went to look for Junbai. They told him that they had nothing to do here and could leave any time. They asked him when they were leaving. Junbai looked much better than yesterday. After hearing Sima Yue's words, he was silent for a while and said, there are still 2 months. You can go to a place first. I'll take you there. Junbai said, when I recover tomorrow, we'll go to Luoya Palace first. You can go back and say goodbye to your family. Sima Yue went back and told Chan Shan. Chan Shan didn't expect her to leave so soon. He was stunned for a moment and said, although I knew you would leave early, I didn't expect it to be so soon. However, this matter of yours can't be delayed. The sooner, the better. You can go and talk to the two children. Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao weren't surprised to hear that Sima Yue was leaving. Wu Xiaodao hugged Sima Yue and rubbed against her arms, saying, although we can't bear to part with Mother, we know that Mother has something important to do. Mother, you have to protect yourself when you go out. Xiao Yao Yao and I will be obedient. Don't worry about us. Although she knew that she was just saying that and that she would definitely be naughty and cause trouble later, Yue was still happy. The two children were so considerate. I will take good care of sister. Wu Jiao said. Sima Yue stroked Wu Qiao's head and said, with you around, I can rest assured that the two of you will stay here. When I'm done, I'll come back to pick you up. We'll wait for you and father to come back. Wu Qiao smiled and nodded. His hands behind his back were tightly clenched into fists. Their mother was going to do something important. How could they be a burden to her? They had to act calmly so that mother wouldn't worry about them. Sima Yue saw that the two siblings were forcing a smile. Although her heart ached, she had to leave. The next day, Wu Xiaodao and Wu Qiao sent Sima Yueyue out of the Chan family's gate. Seeing Sima Yueyue and Wu Lingyu leave, Wu Xiaodao bit her lips to prevent herself from crying. Wu Qiao's eyes were also red. Seeing that Wu Xiaodao was trembling, he reached out and hugged her shoulder, saying, "Don't be sad. Mother will be back soon." When Sima Yueyue arrived at the inn, Junbai was already prepared. When they arrived, Junbai didn't say much. He took out the teleportation array and brought them away. Chapter 2270. When Sima Yue came out of the array, she saw a group of people guarding outside. When they saw Junbai, they bowed. "Greetings, Master Jun. Where's the old guy?" "Palace Master is discussing with the elders about the Dark Dragon Guard. He knew that you were coming back and specially ordered us to wait for you here." After that person finished speaking, he looked at Junbai suspiciously. The Fallen Cliff Palace had never interacted with the Dark Dragon Guard before. The Dark Dragon Guard had pledged allegiance to the Taotai Palace, while the Fallen Cliff Palace was righteous. Both sides were on opposing sides, but they never had any conflicts. Now that they were suddenly discussing how to deal with the Dark Dragon Guard, and it was Master Jun's orders, they were all very suspicious. "We can go by ourselves." Junbai brought Sima Yueyue and the others away after speaking. "Who are these two?" Master Jun actually brought them over himself. Everyone was curious about Sima Yueyue and Wu Lingyu's identities, but nobody asked around. Sima Yulin was stunned when he saw Sima Yue on the way, but Sima Yue stopped to greet him first. "Yulin." Sima Yue exchanged a few words with Junbai before walking over to him, smiling. "I knew you were here, but I didn't expect to see you here." Sima Yulin saw her hair coiled up, and then looked at Wu Lingyu, who was behind her. His mouth was slightly bitter, but he still forced a smile, saying, "You're married. Belated congratulations." We got married in the human realm a few years ago." Sima Yue said. "Are you doing well here? You knew I was here?" Sima Yulin's smile deepened without leaving a trace. "I know." Sima Yue told him how Fatty Chu and the others were worried about him, and how she got Chanjiu to find out. When Sima Yulin heard the names of Fatty Chu and the others, his heart was filled with emotions. He asked, "Are they doing well?" "They're all good. I think they'll join us soon." Sima Yue said, "They were just saying that they shouldn't fall behind you. It's good if you can come up." Sima Yulin replied. The divine domain was much better than the lower realms. Water flowed downwards and people walked upwards. It was good to be able to come up. The two of them continued to chat for a bit. Sima Yulin looked at Junbai, who was waiting at the back. After thinking about it, he still asked the question in his heart, "Why have you come to Fallen Cliff Palace?" "Master Jun brought me here." He didn't say anything before this. Sima Yue replied. Hearing Junbai's coughing, she knew that he was rushing her. "Since Master Jun has brought you here, there must be something going on. You can go ahead and get busy." Sima Yulin said. "Okay, let's catch up when we're free," Sima Yue said and left with Wu Lingyu. Junbai wasn't curious as to how she knew people from Fallen Cliff Palace. When they returned, he brought her to one of the palaces in Fallen Cliff Palace. The Lord of Fallen Cliff Palace had already received the news, so he got someone to bring them to the discussion hall. "Why are you here?" The Fallen Cliff Palace master looked serious all the time. His unsmiling face made people not dare to do anything in front of him. She wondered how he had managed to cultivate Fu Shi's personality. "I brought you here for some matters," Junbai said. Sima Yue bowed to the Lord of Fallen Cliff Palace. "You're Sima Yue." Lord Fallen Cliff Palace nodded to her. "Thank you for You're too kind, Lord." Sima Yue said lightly. "You're discussing how to deal with the Dark Dragon Guard?" Junbai asked. When it came to serious matters, Lord Fallen Cliff Palace was still a little confused. "Why are you suddenly thinking about how to deal with the Dark Dragon Guard?" Junbai glanced at Sima Yue, saying, "I'll explain this to you when we get back. I brought her here today to go to that place." Sima Yue could clearly feel that when he mentioned that place, everyone's body stiffened. Could it be that that place was not a good place? Sima Yue guessed. Lord Fallen Cliff Palace was stunned. He looked at Sima Yue with a deep gaze and nodded, saying, I'll get someone to arrange it. Very quickly, Sima Yulin came in from outside. He bowed to the people in the hall and heard Lord Fallen Cliff Palace say, Yulin, you are siblings. You should take her to that place. Sima Yulin already knew what they were looking for him for before he came, so he cupped his hands, saying, Yes, Lord. Sima Yue also knew that Junbai and the others had something that was inconvenient for her to listen to, so she left with Sima Yulin. Wu Lingyu naturally went wherever she went. Once they left, someone could not hold it in anymore and pulled Junbai, asking, Is he that person? Junbai nodded, saying, 2 days ago, I did a divination for him, and it was without a doubt a heavenly divination. So you're saying that we have to ensure his safety in the future? He has some grievances with the Dark Dragon Guard. When he and she go to find White Tiger and Black Tortoise, we have to make sure that he has no worries. Junbai explained about the Dark Dragon Guard, but he did not say anything about Sima Yue and Xian Qiuhe. There were some things that he could calculate but he could not say. She is about to come out of seclusion, right? They will come out together, then we have to send them away. We have to prepare everything before that. Junbai said. The moment he spoke, the atmosphere in the room became heavy. Junbai made it sound simple, but it was very troublesome for them to do it. The Dark Dragon Guard was under the Taotai Palace. If they touched the Dark Dragon Guard, the Taotai Palace would not sit idly by. Moreover, they knew that the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird had returned, so they would not watch them grow up. Therefore, there was definitely going to be a big movement. Fortunately, they had secretly made arrangements over the years, and everyone was already connected. Even if the 4 palaces moved, they would not be helpless. We've planned for this day for so long, and now it's finally coming. Chao Shi sighed. That's right. When that day comes, these old bones of mine can also die of old age. Junbai also sighed. The day when the heavenly Tao changed was not far away, but he could not wait to see that flourishing age with his own eyes. Chao Shi opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but in the end he did not say anything. As a diviner, Junbai should not have been involved in these disputes. He stood on the side of this world and told them many secrets of heaven, and these things were all calculated on him. Now that his body was getting worse, wasn't it because of heaven's punishment? However, they had no choice. The 4 palaces and the forces under them were very strong, and the 4 divine beasts had not returned yet. Everyone was living in an abyss of suffering. If it was not for the sake of setting things right, why would Junbai get involved in this mess? Thinking of this, everyone's mood was heavy, but Junbai was more open-minded. Someone had to make some sacrifices for these things, and he was just risking his life. Chapter 2271. Sima Yu didn't know about the heavy atmosphere in the hall. She and Wu Lingyu followed Sima Yulin and talked about the past. Not long after, they arrived at the place that Junbai had mentioned. This is the sex-forbidden area. I can't go any further. Palace Master said that you can go in, so only you can go in. Sima Yulin glanced at Wu Lingyu after speaking. This is the forbidden area of the Fallen Cliff Palace. Why do I have to go in? Sima Yu didn't understand. I don't know about this either. Sima Yulin was very surprised when he heard about this. But since it was an order from above, he couldn't ask why. He was afraid that Sima Yu would be afraid and said, I heard that there was nothing in the forbidden area. It was just a cemetery. Sima Yu's heart skipped a beat when she heard about the cemetery. Could it be Emperor Qingdao's tomb? Junbai brought him here just to absorb the energy here? She looked at the map in her sea of consciousness. Although there was no Fallen Cliff Palace, the mountain was right. It seemed that the Fallen Cliff Palace knew about Emperor Qingdao's tomb long ago. They also knew from Junbai that this tomb was not fated with them. They had to wait for her, the fated person, to come. This was the only way to explain their actions. What surprised her was that Emperor Qingdao's tomb was in the Fallen Cliff Palace. She was going to meet him again so soon. She just didn't know if Xianqiu he knew about this. But it didn't matter if he knew. Besides this place, there was another place. As long as she didn't absorb the other place, he wouldn't look for her for the time being. After thinking it through, she turned around and said to Wu Lingyu, "Wait for me outside." Wu Lingyu guessed it too. Since she was going to absorb Emperor Qingdao's power, he would wait for her here. Sima Yuyu entered the forbidden area alone. She entered the tomb with familiarity and began to absorb the power left behind by Emperor Qingdao. Xianqiu, he felt it when she started to absorb Emperor Qingdao's power. He sat on the throne high up. His clothes were red like blood. "So fast, I thought you would drag it out for a while." Sima Yue stayed in the forbidden grounds for a few months. Because she was in seclusion, it was like a matter of closing her eyes and opening her eyes. When she came out of seclusion, Fuxi also came out of seclusion. He didn't know how Junbai and the others had done it for him. In short, the four palaces didn't seem to have received any news, nor did they sense anything. Fuxi was very happy to see Sima Yue. He rushed to her and said, "Yue, you've finally come to the divine dominion. Why didn't you tell me in advance?" Sima Yue smiled at him and said, "When I came, I heard that you were in seclusion. Even if I told you in advance, you wouldn't know. You can't possibly postpone your business just to wait for me, right?" Even if he wanted to, his group of masters would not agree. "In any case, we're going to find Black Tortoise and White Tiger later. We'll have plenty of time to catch up," Fuxi said with a smile. "That's right." Sima Yue didn't tell him that their future path would be difficult, and she didn't know if he could think of it himself. In a while, when calculating Black Tortoise and White Tiger, Qi Yan would be present. When Vermilion Bird's aura came out, it would naturally attract the attention of the four beasts. If they didn't immediately find trouble with the fallen Cliff Palace, they could only let Qi Yan leave the Divine Dominion in front of everyone. But he was Vermilion Bird. If he left now, there would only be one thing, and that was to find White Tiger and Black Tortoise. If the four palaces knew about this, how could they let it go? They would definitely send people to stop it. Perhaps they would also use their hands to find White Tiger and Black Tortoise to get rid of them. So their journey would not be peaceful. She sighed in her heart, but Fuxi wasn't worried at all. He continued to ask, "Who did you see after coming up? Did you see Kanan Xn and Muyechi?" "I only saw Kanan Xn. I didn't have time to see the others." As soon as Sima Yue finished speaking, she heard two familiar voices. As soon as she turned around, she saw two people coming towards her. Feng. When Sima Yue saw Feng Ruyen, she excitedly walked over. She even bowed to Yuan Shaojie, martial uncle. "I knew you were in the sect, so I came over." Feng Ruyen still looked like she didn't eat the food of mortals, but the smile on her face showed that she was in a good mood. "Before I came to the Divine Dominion, I went to the Feng people to take a look. I knew you were in the Divine Dominion, so I wanted to come up and find you. I didn't expect to see you so soon." Sima Yue held Feng Ruyen's hand and said intimately. Because Feng Ruyen had always taken care of Yue when she was growing up, she had a kind of attachment to Feng Ruyen as an elder. Doing this action wasn't strange at all. When Feng Ruyen and Yuan Shaojie saw her current strength, they sighed in their hearts. Both of them didn't think that Sima Yue would grow to such a height in such a short period of time. She even had such a mission. Sima Yue then told Yuan Shaojie about the Heavenly Heaven School's current situation. Everyone didn't have any anger towards this principal who didn't do anything. Yuan Shaojie was smiling happily. He didn't feel guilty about his actions at all. After talking for a while, Sima Yue saw someone looking for them. She recognized that it was the person who followed Junbai that day. Knowing that he was here to look for them, she didn't say much to Feng Ruyen and the rest. She placed a jade bottle in Feng Ruyen's hand and said, "That day, my grandfather drank this to advance to the Emperor realm in the Ghost realm." Feng Ruyen's hand that was holding the jade bottle tightened. Back then, she used other methods to advance to the Emperor realm. However, she wasn't recognized by the Heavenly Tao, so her strength was weaker than those who advanced to the Emperor realm. Sima Yue gave her this. Was it to help her complete the Heavenly Tao? But before she could ask, Sima Yue and Fuxi left with that person. Since the Ghost King can use this to advance in the ghost realm, it must be something good for you. Yuan Xiaojie said. I know. Feng Ruyen kept the jade bottle and looked in the direction she left, saying, I knew she was a good child back then. After so many years, she's still thinking about me. She's always been a good child. Yuan Xiaojie sighed. Sima Yue and Fu Shi went to meet Jun Bai and Zhao Shi. Wu Lingyu was there too. The three of them were discussing something. Jun Bai saw her enter and frowned slightly. Why haven't you advanced to the Emperor realm? She should be able to advance to the Emperor realm after absorbing Emperor Qingdao's power. Why did it seem like she was still lacking? I've suppressed it. Sima Yue didn't ask Jun Bai how he knew she was going to advance. You know that my advancement will cause a huge commotion. There will be flies and mosquitoes behind me. It's good to use the lightning tribulation to clean them up. Most importantly, the lightning tribulation would harm her body. Naturally, she wouldn't be able to find White Tiger and Black Tortoise immediately. They were pressed for time now. Advancing wasn't as important as before. Anyway, the power was suppressed in her body. When she would advance was up to her. Chapter 2272. No one agreed or disagreed with Sima Yue's thoughts. Anyway, she had her own opinions and Jun Bai was just asking. Sima Yue knew why Jun Bai was so surprised. Her strength could have advanced to the Imperial Emperor level last time, but because she had been suppressing it and her realm was not enough, she was not in a hurry to advance. Jun Bai must have seen this, so he thought that she would definitely advance after absorbing Emperor Qingdao's power. He did not expect that she would still not advance. Just as she said, she could advance at any time, but she did not want to delay things here because of her lightning tribulation. It was good that she could cheat others later. Shall we start now? She asked Jun Bai. Let's start. Jun Bai nodded. Sima Yue called Qi Yan out, and Jun Bai began to calculate. Halfway through, he asked Qi Yan to input his aura into the divination. Soon, Jun Bai spat out another mouthful of blood. Sima Yue saw this scene and thought of the divination she did for herself. It was the same at that time, and he also spat out blood. Now, it was related to the 4 divine beasts, and it also had the name of setting things right. Naturally, it was a big matter. Could it be that the previous divination wasn't only about her? Jun Bai finished after a while. He did not even have time to look at the last divination before Fu Shi gave him a pill. After eating the pill, Jun Bai's face became much better, but he was still as pale as paper. He leaned against the chair, obviously using up all his strength just now. Look at the divination yourself, he said weakly. The injury from Sima Yue's divination was still there, and now it happened again. His body was almost drained dry. Fu Shi's heart ached. He let him rest and went to look at the divination. After a while, Fu Shi put away the divination item. Second Master, it's done. Fu Shi looked at Jun Bai's almost broken body, and his heart ached, but he had to say, Second Master, the 4 palaces must have received the news that the vermilion bird is out. We have to leave now. Your body. Jun Bai forced a smile. Don't worry about me, I won't die for the time being. Don't worry and go. When you come back, my body will be fine. Master, I will come back as soon as possible. Fu Shi replied and then said to Sima Yue, let's go. Wait. Sima Yue came to Jun Bai and reluctantly took out a box, saying, a divinator friend of mine asked me to find this. There were still some left at that time, I hope it will be of help to you. Fu Shi took it and opened the box. When he saw the things inside, he couldn't help but get excited. Where did you find them? An ancient battlefield in the immortal realm. Sima Yue said, my friend said that this is very good for divinator's health. I wonder if it will be useful for Master Jun. It's useful. We've already sent people to look for tears of love, but there's been no news. Fu Shi was extremely agitated. And you don't just have 1 or 2. Master's body can be saved now. Jun Bai also didn't expect that Sima Yue would give him tears of love. This was indeed better than anything else for his current body. Previously, he was still worried that his broken body wouldn't be able to hold on until the final victory. Now that he had this, he didn't have to worry anymore. Sima Yue thought for a while and took out 2 jade bottles, saying, Master Jun's body is very important to the divine realm and even the entire world. So you must take care of your body. With the tears of love before, Fushi and Junbai didn't think that the things she took out were light. However, when they saw the Tree of Life's essence and the Tree of Spirit's essence in the 2 jade bottles, they were still stunned. These 3 things could only be encountered and not sought. Moreover, they were extremely good for divinator. If he could get better with the first item, then with the other 2, he could live longer. Yue, thank you. A single thank you couldn't express the gratitude in their hearts. We're leaving soon. We can't see you worrying about the things here. Moreover, if Master Jun didn't do that divination for me, I wouldn't be injured so badly now. Master Jun has chosen his side for the sake of the world. The only thing we can do is to give you these things. Sima Yue said, let's leave early. If we attract people, we'll cause trouble for Luoya Palace again. Although they knew that Fushi was from Luoya Palace, leaving from here was still different from leaving from outside. Fushi also understood the current situation. Since he now had Sima Yu's 3 items, he naturally didn't have to worry about his master's health. As such, he left Fallen Cliff Palace with Sima Yu and the others and appeared at a place where he didn't know the name of. Say, how long do you think those people will take to come? Fushi asked with a grin. Sima Yue saw that his aura was the same as before and knew that he had concealed his green dragon aura. However, there wasn't much difference between this and the past. Where are Black Tortoise and White Tiger? Sima Yue remembered that Junbai didn't tell her the results of the divination and only showed it to Fushi. Fushi didn't say anything after seeing it, so she still didn't know where to go. Black Tortoise has already returned. We just need to go to Tsangming Continent to find him. White Tiger still needs us to go to Wanyan Continent to add fuel to the fire. Fushi said. Can we find them if we go there? If they already knew where Black Tortoise and White Tiger were, it would be easier to find them. That depends on luck. It might be early or late. However, the final result will definitely be good. Fushi said, oh right, I have to remind you. After we go down, our strength will be restricted. When the time comes, it might be a little difficult for you to become an emperor. After going to a lower realm, their strength would be restricted to the highest level of that realm. If they went against the Heavenly Tao and used power that they shouldn't use, they would be punished by the Heavenly Tao. Moreover, one couldn't become an emperor in the lower realms. The Heavenly Tao didn't allow it. Thus, she couldn't advance whenever she wanted. However, Sima Yue didn't care about this point. Or rather, this point didn't have any binding force on her. If it was said that the Ghost King's advancement had something to do with the Primal Chaos River, it was only her guess. When she reached this level, she was already certain of this reason. She didn't know if it was because her soul had been to the Primal Chaos world or because she had been drinking the Primal Chaos River, but she didn't feel the suppression of the Heavenly Tao. 2 years ago, when she was walking in the lower realms, she felt this way. As long as she wanted to, she could do it at any time. Chapter 2273. No matter what she thought in her heart, Sima Yue did not say it out loud. She nodded to Fushi and said, got it. Those people should be here soon. Let's get ready to go. Sima Yue said. You don't know how to get to Tsangming Continent. Let me do it. Fushi said as he raised his right hand and water blue power gathered in his palm. When the power was almost condensed, he hit the air. Slowly, a space channel appeared in the air. A force came from the space behind, trying to destroy Fushi's space channel. However, when it was about to approach, it was resolved by Wu Lingyu with a wave of his hand. The person who came was shocked. He was already an imperial emperor, but this person could still dissolve his power so easily. Could it be that he had already reached the peak of the imperial emperor realm? However, Wu Lingyu just stood there and did not show his strength. No one could see his strength. A group of people came out of the space. Sima Yue saw the symbol on their clothes and knew that they were the closest people from the palace. She said to Fushi, you continue. Leave these people to us. However, she did not move because she received Qi Yan's order to leave these people to him. Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue did not move, so he did not move either. Qi Yan transformed into his original form. The fiery red vermilion bird was noble and majestic, inviolable. He looked at the people from the palace and seemed to see the vermilion bird behind them. Vermilion bird, you really came back. The leader obviously had some status in the palace and knew about the 4 mythological beasts and the 4 murderers. I'm back. It's time for you to die, Qi Yan said and flapped his wings to attack them. Crimson Flame used the most primitive method. His 2 claws were sharp, and anyone who was caught by him was torn in half by him. With a wave of his long wings, a person vomited blood. These people were all experts. If it was not for his powerful body, how could he use the most primitive method? The most primitive method also depended on absolute strength. Sima Yue also noticed that Qi Yan's body was surrounded by a layer of faint red light, and the power that was attacking him was silently blocked. On the other side, Little Birdie was also very happy. They couldn't withstand its heat anyway, and those who were targeted by it were all burned to ashes. By the time those people were dealt with, Fuxi had completely opened up the passage. Sima Yue glanced at the corpse on the ground and said, "Let's go. The sooner we find the black tortoise and the white tiger, the sooner we can return." The group of people left through the spatial tunnel. When the tunnel closed completely, a dead person opened his eyes. His stomach was slashed open, and one of his arms was broken. The man swallowed the pill with great difficulty and rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, he had the ability to play dead, so no one discovered that he was still alive. Otherwise, he would have died today. Not long after, more people rushed over. When they saw the ground littered with corpses and sensed the residual vermilion bird aura in the air, their expressions all changed. "There's a survivor." The man who played dead was discovered. A group of people flew over and asked, "Where's Vermilion Bird?" Vermilion Bird and Azure Dragon left the divine realm to find Black Tortoise and White Tiger. The man said weakly, "But I don't know which realm they went to." After he finished speaking, someone immediately flew into the air, and the position was exactly where Fuxi had opened the spatial tunnel. He closed his eyes and felt the weak vibrations from the space. His 10 fingers fluttered, and circles of ripples swayed from between his fingers. Not far away, they slowly converged to form a tunnel entrance. After a while, he opened his eyes and stared at the formed entrance for a long time. After getting the answer, he waved his hand and the tunnel entrance disappeared. It turned out that it was not a real entrance, but a fake one. "Master, did you find out where they went?" Someone asked. "I calculated the approximate location. Those few realms could be it." The man replied, "Let's return to the palace first. I have to discuss with the palace master and the divine beast." 2 people went to carry the living man on the ground. The others went to burn the corpses on the ground. Then the group opened the spatial tunnel and left. Soon, the people of the 4 palaces knew that Vermilion Bird and Azure Dragon had left the divine realm to find Black Tortoise and White Tiger. The people of the Dark Palace gave a range of more than 10 realms. Thus, the main forces of the 4 palaces were transferred to those 10 or so small realms. One of them was Tsangming Continent. In a snowfield in Tsangming Continent, Sima Yue and the others came out of the spatial tunnel. Sima Yue felt the spiritual energy in the air and said, "Although Tsangming Continent is just a lower realm, the spiritual energy here is not bad. It seems that Black Tortoise is quite good at choosing a place." Fuxi said with a smile, "I wonder where that guy is now." "You said that Black Tortoise has returned. I think he should have recovered by now. Since that's the case, why didn't he go to the divine realm?" "I don't know about that," Fuxi said, "but this guy's temperament is always slow. Even if he has returned, he will slowly grind it down. Then we can only go and find him." Sima Yue also guessed Black Tortoise's temperament and could not help but find it funny. "We have to hurry. The people of the 4 palaces are not useless. We deliberately left one alive. I think they already know our approximate location. We have to find Black Tortoise before they chase us here," Fuxi said with some helplessness. He had the blood of a dragon in his body. Now that the blood was fully activated, he inherited all of Azure Dragon's power, as well as his memories and feelings. Speaking of Black Tortoise, he naturally brought in Azure Dragon's feelings. No matter who its contractor is, it can't be far from the sea. Let's go find the sea of this continent first. Qi Yen also knew Black Tortoise very well, especially its habit of staying in the sea even though it could live anywhere. Since that was the case, it was most likely in the sea. They flew in the vast snowfield for a long time. From time to time, they would encounter some spirit beasts. They did not need to move. They just released their aura and the spirit beasts would avoid them. They went to find a spirit beast to ask about the sea. However, they found out that there was no sea nearby. The spirit beasts here did not have much contact with the outside world. They did not know if there were any further places. These spirit beasts seem to be very powerful. They are considered the top existences in the continent below. I think the people here would not dare to come in casually. Since there are few people here, there is naturally not much information exchange with the outside world. When we get out of here, we will find someone to ask. They were not in a hurry. They sent the spirit beasts out and flew out. They did not expect the snowfield to be so big. They flew for more than 10 days before they saw a figure. Chapter 2274. In the snow, a woman in a white dress was running for her life. However, most of her white dress was dyed red, making her look like a blooming datura flower in the snow. A group of people chased after her, spitting out some unpleasant words. They said that she should obediently follow them back to be their 18th daughter-in-law, and that when the time came, a group of people would come and so on. The woman's face was full of resentment. After being surrounded, she looked at those people and wished she could kill them all. Unfortunately, she was injured and was no match for those people. Thinking of these people's hands touching her body, she couldn't help but feel disgusted. Little girl, you should just obediently follow us. What's wrong with following us? We will give you a wonderful experience. The person who spoke had his eyes glued to the woman's body. He wished he could immediately take off all her clothes. Hey, even if I die, I won't follow you. The woman spat out a mouthful of blood. Seeing that there was no hope of escaping, she thought that she could only die today. Little girl, even if you die, your corpse can let us have some fun. However, you won't be able to experience it. It's not worth it. Another person laughed evilly. No matter what she did, they would be able to have a good time. They wouldn't even let her corpse go? When the woman heard this, the way she looked at these people changed. You didn't accidentally meet me. You have a conspiracy. Who sent you here? Mao Hongxia, it's her, right? Little girl, it doesn't matter if someone sent us or not. You have no choice but to follow us today. Dream on. Since I can't commit suicide and leave my corpse for you, then I'll drag you down with me. If there is a next life, I will definitely take revenge for today. The woman steeled her heart and circulated the spiritual power in her body. Her body slowly expanded. Those people didn't expect that she would actually self-destruct. They were shocked and ran in all directions. However, after running a few steps, they found that they couldn't run anymore. The space was sealed. Then, someone found that the woman's rapidly expanding body slowly collapsed. The self-destruction actually stopped. Who could self-destruct and stop on their own? Not only were those men surprised, even the woman herself was surprised. She was trying her best to drag these people down with her. She didn't even think of stopping. When they saw the woman's expression, they knew that she didn't stop on her own. They immediately became vigilant and shouted, "Who dares to ruin your grandfather's business?" But a slap landed on the face of the person who spoke. At the same time, a casual and lazy female voice sounded from all directions, "You dare to call yourself grandfather?" That slap was very skillful. That person was not sent flying, but his face was swollen. The teeth on that side of his face were also knocked out. He spat out a mouthful of blood and teeth. "Oh, come out if you have the guts." Another person called out bravely. "Pa!" Another slap. This person was also beaten until his teeth were missing. What's the point of wasting time on these rascals? After Qi Yen finished speaking, he appeared in the air. As soon as he appeared, everyone's gaze shifted to him. Only then did they realize that those people had actually been there from the beginning to the end. It was just that they had not noticed it. Thinking of this, everyone was even more shocked. What kind of strength did he have to be able to hide his aura so well? Little birdie flew out from its body, and those people didn't even have time to scream before they all disappeared. In just a short while, only that woman was left on the snowy ground. That woman looked at Sima Yue and the other 3 people falling from the sky. Only then did she realize that she had really been saved. Her injuries were not light, but she still struggled to get up from the ground. She bowed to Sima Yue and the others and said, "Thank you for saving my life. Your injuries are not light. Take a pill first." Sima Yue admired this person's character. She was fierce and decisive. This was also the reason why she helped. Looking at this woman's clothes and temperament, her status should not be low. The pill that injured her should not be low either. Who knew that after Sima Yue finished speaking, the woman did not move. She only smiled faintly and said that it was fine. Her injuries would be fine after a while. The injuries caused by self-explosion were not small. Sima Yue understood that she probably did not have any more pills on her. She took out a jade bottle and gave it to her, saying, "Use this first." The woman opened the jade bottle and was shocked when she saw the pill inside. She wanted to say that she could not accept such an expensive pill, but after seeing Sima Yue's eyes, she swallowed her words. She took out the pill and ate it before thanking her again. How many pills that Sima Yue had on her now were ordinary pills? She did not expect this woman to be able to recognize it after being stunned for a while. It seemed that her status was not low. Self-explosion would hurt the meridians. Sima Yue's pill was very effective for these injuries. Her body that was in pain earlier felt much better now. "What is your name?" Sima Yue asked. "I am Wenxi." The woman replied, "May I know my benefactor's name? If there is a chance in the future, Wenxi will definitely repay you. You can just call me Yue." Sima Yue turned her head and saw that the 3 fellows were just sitting there and did not seem to have any intention of talking to Wenxi. She turned her head and smiled at Wenxi, saying, "They are my husband, my contracted beasts and my friends." Wenxi knew what they meant when she saw their attitude. She also understood that they were not willing to talk to her. She did not feel awkward and only smiled at Sima Yue. "Oh right, I want to ask you something," Sima Yue said. When she saw that she was looking at her seriously and subconsciously became serious as well, saying, "Benefactor, please ask. Do you have a C here?" When she thought that Sima Yue would ask about something important and did not expect her to ask such a question. She was stunned for a moment before replying, "This is Wangchuan Snowfield. There is no sea here." "No sea? Songming continent is so big but there is no sea?" Sima Yue frowned slightly. Could it be that Black Tortoise could endure a place without a sea? Even if it was injured in the past, would it be able to endure a day without a sea after it recovered? When she heard her words, she was sure that she was not from this continent. She explained, "So you are asking if there is a sea in this continent? I misunderstood. There is a sea in Songming continent, but it is very far from here. There is also a natural barrier in the middle, so the people and spirit beasts here do not know about it." "Then how do you know?" Sima Yue asked. She was curious about the natural barrier. "I am originally from there. I came here because of some reasons." When she replied, "I have already completed my task. If you want to go there, why don't you let me lead the way?" Chapter 2275. Sima Yue turned around to look at Wu Lingyu and the other 2. They did not comment on Wenxi's words, as if they were waiting for her to make the decision. That natural barrier can't be seen with the naked eye. If you're not familiar with it, you won't be able to find it. When she said, "If you want to go by yourselves, even if I tell you the location, you'll still need some time to find it. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you." Sima Yue smiled at her. "Actually, I also hope to go with you guys and borrow your strength to go back. When she knew that she could not hide her intentions from Yue, so she decided to be frank and say it out loud. I know. It's on the way anyway. If it could save them a lot of time, it was fine to bring her along. Then let's go. When she said, let's wait until your injuries are better before we continue. These 2 days don't matter. Sima Yue knew how serious her injuries were. It would take twice the effort to bring an injured person along. She could also use these 2 days to do something. When she was a little happy. Although she felt that she could hold on, it would be better to rest for 2 days. Hence, she was even more grateful to Sima Yue. Do you know the distance from the barrier to here? Sima Yue asked. I know. When she nodded, are you going to set up an array? Since you said that it's very far from here, we'll naturally need to use an array. Sima Yue asked about the direction and distance of the barrier, then said, go and rest first. I'll call you when I need you later. When she did not decline, she took out a bed and placed it on the snow. Then she sat on it and started to heal her injuries. Sima Yue started to set up the array. As it was a long-distance teleportation array and they had quite a number of people, she set it up very carefully for safety. When she was done, when she woke up. You're recovering well. Sima Yue saw that her injuries were much better. She knew that other than the pills she gave her, there were other reasons. I learned a technique that's very useful for healing injuries. When she did not hide it, she had a feeling that her little secrets were no secrets in front of Sima Yue. Moreover, she wouldn't value these secrets of hers. As expected, Sima Yue did not ask her anything. Instead, she said, the array is ready. Let's go. The group of people arrived at the teleportation array. Sima Yue activated the teleportation array by injecting her spiritual power into it. When she then noticed how big the teleportation array was. This level of skill and strength was not something an ordinary person could achieve. However, before she could think about it any further, they had already disappeared from the array. Before she left, she only had one thought. What a waste. There were so many array stones, and they were all gone after one use. How rich and overbearing. A few days later, in an inconspicuous small town, some people were holding a wedding banquet. Suddenly, a vibration came from a wine table. Those people quickly left the table and stared at the table vigilantly. Not long after, a spatial passageway was opened. The few of them came out of the array and landed on the table. Luckily, the vibration just now caused the table to tilt. Everything on the table fell to the ground. Otherwise, they would have stepped into the dishes. Sima Yue looked at the place where they appeared. She saw the courtyard full of people staring at her. She could not help but twitch her lips. The location of the exit was too deceptive. A few people walked over from the other side of the courtyard. When they saw Sima Yue and the others' imposing manner, they did not rush forward to scold them. Sorry, we didn't expect the exit of the teleportation array to be here. Sima Yue said. When the few people heard this, they respected Sima Yue even more. To be able to set up a teleportation array, these people's identities were definitely not ordinary. It's all right. It's just a banquet. Bring the guests to another table and squeeze with them. The leader instructed the people beside him. At first, the guests thought that Yue and the others were here to cause trouble. Now that they knew that they were just passing by and there was no conflict, they felt relieved and continued to eat and drink. Sima Yue took out a box and passed it to that person, saying, I don't know what good news you have. Take this as a congratulatory gift and also an apology gift. How can I accept this? That person declined for a while but still accepted it in the end. Elder, we would like to ask, how far is this place from the east and west barriers? When she asked, if we use the teleportation array to go to the city, it will take half a month. Thank you. When she was shocked but did not show it on her face. After thanking that person, the group of people left. She did not expect Sima Yue's teleportation array to be able to transport almost 4/5 of the distance. Moreover, it took less time than a normal teleportation array. How powerful must one be to be able to do this? 1 month is too long. Let's go take a look at the teleportation array. Sima Yue said, and the group of people went to the city. After they left, That person opened the box that Sima Yue gave him. When he saw the medicinal ingredient inside, he was stunned for a long time. "Master, what's wrong?" A person came over and was also stunned when he saw the medicinal ingredient in the box. Sima Yue did not take this small incident to heart. After they arrived at the city, they went straight to the Spirit Master Guild and spent some crystals to study the array. The people from the Spirit Master Guild did not agree at first. Sima Yue and the rest only showed a little of their power, and the people from the Spirit Master Guild immediately cleared the teleportation array and invited them over. After a while, Sima Yue managed to find out the spatial coordinates of the teleportation array. Then, the group of people left the city and found a desolate place. They spent a day setting up the teleportation array. This time, they arrived at the place that when she mentioned. It was a stretch of mountain range. The layer of barrier looked similar to a spirit barrier, but it was much stronger than a spirit barrier. If you want to open this barrier with your power, you must be at least of the monarch rank. Otherwise, those sects would use secret techniques to open it. When she explained, therefore, other than those from the big sects, people from the east and west rarely go to the other side. Is the power of the east higher than the west? Sima Yue asked. Therefore, most of the people from the east come to the west. People from the west rarely go there. When she replied. When Sima Yue and the rest entered the city, they realized that the people here were not very powerful. It was unlikely that they would be able to pass through the barrier. Let's go over. After Sima Yue finished speaking, Wu Lingyu had already opened a gap in the barrier. The four of them walked over one after another. Wu Lingyu retracted his spirit power and closed the gap again. They were prepared to go outside to ask for directions. However, they stopped after walking for a short distance. Stay here and don't move. Sima Yue waved her hand and a protective layer appeared to protect when she raised her head and saw a group of people coming out of the space. From their aura and gaze, she knew that they did not come with good intentions. Chapter 2276. Those people had the four beasts embroidered on their clothes. It seemed like the people from the four palaces were here. I didn't expect you to come so quickly. Fu, she sneered, I admire your spirit of death. Azure Dragon, you're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. The higher-ups have given the order to kill you on sight. Hee, then come and try. Fu Shi flew into the air and transformed into the Azure Dragon. He spat out a dragon's breath at those people. Crimson Flame also transformed into his original form at the same time. The aura of the Vermilion Bird was released without reservation. The aura of the two divine beasts almost suffocated all the spirit beasts in the mountain. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu moved as well. There were a few people on the other side. They couldn't just rely on Fu Shi and Crimson Flame. Both of them didn't have any fancy moves. Every time they attacked, it was a fatal attack. And Sima Yue's understanding of space was already at the peak. With the help of teleportation, those people didn't even know where she attacked from. Sima Yue and the others purposely moved the battle far away so that when she wouldn't be affected. A small part of the power was blocked outside by the protective circle. When she was in the protective circle and watched the battle in the air with her mouth agape. She knew that Sima Yue and the others were strong, but she didn't expect them to be so strong. And those two, they didn't talk much and kept a low profile. She didn't expect them to be the Azure Dragon and the Vermilion Bird. At this time, she finally understood why they were looking for Hai. The battle didn't last long. Although the other side had many people, they couldn't kill them. Sima Yue and the others came back very quickly. Seeing Wen Shi in a daze, Sima Yue removed the protective circle and said, Are you okay? When she came back to her senses and looked at Sima Yue, she hesitated and said, You're here to look for Black Tortoise, right? I know where Black Tortoise is. You really know where Black Tortoise is? Yes. But I only know the rough location. When she said, To tell you the truth, we're here to look for Black Tortoise. Since you know where it is, please lead the way. Sima Yue smiled. All right. Sima Yue was very happy. Previously, she thought that she would have to search along the sea area bit by bit. Now that she knew the general location, it was much easier. 3 months later, they appeared in a city near the sea. This city was very big and prosperous. It was also very close to the sea. Standing on the city wall, one could see the sea. In the past 3 months, they had encountered 2 more ambushes. Each time, there were more and more ambushes, but they were all dealt with by them. However, they were not happy because the time between the last time was shorter than the last time. This meant that the higher-ups already knew that they were in this little realm, and they might launch a large-scale attack at any time. They didn't have much time. The black tortoise is here? Fushi did not sense the aura of the black tortoise in the city and asked. No. But this is the nearest city. When she said, my house is here. I need to go back and tell my family that I'm safe before I can accompany you there. Is that place very dangerous? Sima Yue asked. When she was stunned for a moment and nodded. The people who went there in the past few years have not returned, so I want my family to know that I went there. Tell us the location and you don't have to go. Sima Yue did not want her to be in danger. I want to go with you guys. For the first time, Wenxi's tone had a hint of urgency. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows and looked at her. Friends, please prompt. Pay attention to the rest of your eyes after reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading. He didn't say anything. However, when she felt that all her secrets had been seen through. For the first time, she said uncomfortably, I know that person. I want to meet him. After you find him, you will take him away from here, right? Sima Yue understood and said, all right then, we'll give you 1 day. We'll meet at the city gate in 1 day. All right. Wenxi smiled gratefully at her. Wenxi. A sharp voice came from the side. The voice was filled with surprise and unwillingness. After hearing the voice, Wenxi's face darkened. She looked at the woman and sneered, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mao Hongxia. When Sima Yue heard the name, she looked at the woman. She was the one who sent people to deal with Wenxi. She probably thought that everything would go smoothly, so she was surprised to see Wenxi. Speaking of which, she should be surprised. If she did not meet them, Wenxi would not have returned. However, she did not intend to interfere with their private matters. She said to Wenxi, we'll go look for an inn first. Don't forget about it tomorrow at this time. All right. Wenxi did not intend to let Sima Yue get involved. She nodded and agreed. Stuff. Mao Hongxia shouted subconsciously. She did not know why she shouted. In her mind, it was because of these people that Wenxi survived. Moreover, Sima Yue was so beautiful that she subconsciously felt hostile towards her. Sima Yue glanced at her indifferently. Then she turned and left. Mao Hongxia was nailed to the ground by her gaze. Her back was drenched in cold sweat. That gaze was too scary. When she saw that Mao Hongxia dared to scold Sima Yue, she felt a sense of satisfaction. Seeing her frightened look, she walked to her side and sneered, You're right. They saved me. You dare to stop experts like them? I really admire your courage in courting death. Mao Hongxia's gaze turned to Wenxi. She was still in a daze. Although I really want to get rid of you now, I still have things to do. I'll let you live for a few days. When I'm back, I'll settle the old and new grudges with you. When she turned and left, she could not kill Mao Hongxia now. That would offend the Mao family and delay their journey. It was more important to find Black Tortoise now. She could not be delayed because of this. She had to see him for the last time. Sima Yue and the rest went to find an inn to stay. They did not care about how when she would deal with the rest. The inn they stayed in was very high. Standing by the window of the room, they could see the sea outside the city. Wu Lingyu returned to the room. Seeing that she was in a daze, he walked over and hugged her from behind. He said softly, Are you thinking about what happened just now? Yes and no. Sima Yue leaned back on his chest. What happened just now reminded me of the first time I met Master. Your strength to me was like that woman to me today. It made me dazed for a moment. At that time, she was weak and could only look up to them. Now that she was standing at such a height, it was their turn to look up to her. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Chapter 2277. Wu Lingyu wasn't as worried as she was. He hugged her and said, "The four great spirit beasts are much more sensitive to each other than other spirit beasts. If Black Tortoise is in the sea, let Crimson Flame release its aura and it will know." "I know that. I'm just worried that something might happen to Black Tortoise." Sima Yue said, "Although we've left, we can imagine the situation in the divine territory. The four palaces won't let Luoya Palace off, and Luoya Palace won't wait for death. Once the battle starts, it won't end until the four great spirit beasts are out. I wonder if it will affect the Chan family and bring danger to Xiao Dao and Xiao Yao Yao. The two of them have people from the underworld protecting them. They'll be fine." Wu Lingyu comforted. "I hope we can find Black Tortoise and White Tiger soon and end this quickly." Sima Yue sighed. "We will." The next morning, Sima Yue, Fushi and the rest went to the city gate to wait. After a while, they saw Wen Shi and two other elders walking over. Seeing Sima Yue, Wen Shi said apologetically, "Yue, these two are our elders. They're worried about my safety, so they want to go with us." Wen Shi felt embarrassed to bring them along without Yo Yue's permission. However, her family didn't want her to go alone, so she had to compromise. Sima Yue didn't think much about the two extra people. They were just two spirit beasts, so they wouldn't affect them much. The group left the city and reached the coastline not far away. When she came to the coastline and blew a whistle. After a while, a whale swam over. "The sea is quite far away. Let's ride the whale." When she said, they flew onto the whale's back, and the whale swam towards the depths of the sea. Sima Yue realized that the whale was much bigger than normal and was very obedient. "We've been living by the sea and tamed some sea beasts occasionally. It's convenient to travel. When we're not around, they're no different from normal spirit beasts. They'll only enter this state when they hear the whistle." When she explained, it was different from normal taming methods. This reminded Sima Yue of the hypnosis methods in her previous life. The whale was very fast. In a few days they were deep into the sea. After the whale sent them to a small island, it didn't want to go any further. "After this island, we'll reach the deep sea. Ordinary sea beasts wouldn't dare to enter." When she patted the whale and it sank into the water and swam away. "Miss, it's getting late. Why don't we rest on this island for a while before continuing?" the Wen family elder suggested. The deeper they go into the sea, the more dangerous it. They didn't know the strength of Sima Yu and the others, so they didn't dare to enter rashly. When looked at Sima Yue, waiting. Yue's Yue and Yue. Hence, they found a flat land by the shore and set up a few tents. When Sima Yue finished setting up the tents, she saw Wen Shi standing by the sea, letting the waves wet her dress. Sima Yue walked over and accompanied her to look at the moon. She said softly, "Are you thinking about the Black Tortoise's contractor?" "You know?" Wen Shi was surprised. "I don't know what happened between the two of you. But I know that there's a story between the two of you." Sima Yue turned around and smiled at her. "From your expression, it doesn't look good. At least you're not happy. How about it? Instead of being sad here, why don't you find someone to talk to?" When she looked at her, perhaps she was infected by the smile on her lips, she also smiled. However, there was a hint of bitterness in her smile. "The Black Tortoise's contractor is called by Xiaofei. We used to be from the same sect. But at that time, one of us was an inner disciple while the other was an outer disciple. At that time, we knew each other's names because I was a genius and he was a famous piece of trash. I once saved him when he was being bullied, so the two of us slowly got to know each other." Wen Shi's smile deepened as she thought about the things between the two of them. It seemed like the things between the two of them were pretty good at the beginning. Sima Yue did not rush her. She looked at the rising and falling of the sea. When she regained her senses and smiled at Sima Yue, she continued, "Later on he committed a crime and was chased out of the sect. He even stood on the opposite side of the sect. Because of some misunderstandings, our relationship became worse and worse. Then, there was one time when I chose to stand on the side of the sect. He was injured and ran away. We never saw each other again. Does he like you? Sima Yue asked. Maybe he used to like me. But he was hurt by me, so he doesn't like me anymore. When she smiled bitterly. But I never told him that I like him. If you meet him again, will you tell him? When she shook her head. I know that he made a contract with Black Tortoise. From that moment on, I knew that he would not stay here. Now that you guys are here to look for him, he will naturally leave with you guys. Since we won't meet again, why should we say it out loud? Moreover, he doesn't even want to see me. I just want to see him from afar. Seeing him leave with you guys will make me give up. Sima Yue thought that might not be the case. Although Black Tortoise was slow, it would not drag things out even though it knew that it had a heavy responsibility. So, it should be its contract owner who was dragging things out. As for the reason, who knew if it was because it could not bear to part with her? Alright, what do you guys think is going on with the sea? Because many sects were suppressing him, he retreated to the sea. Later on, there were many sea beasts in the sea. Very few people who went there could return alive. Xiao Fei was controlling the sea beasts from behind. No one saw him again. When she said, I see. Sima Yue was no longer worried. The one controlling the sea beasts was naturally Black Tortoise. As long as it was not some unfathomable natural factor, it would not be too dangerous. When we find him, we will ask him to leave with us. If you were to choose, would you go with him? Leave with him? Yes, if you were to leave with him, you would have to leave your family and your sect. Then, you would have to embark on an unknown journey with him. I have seen it too. We are being chased by people along the way. The danger is self-evident. If he leaves with us, he will be involved in these dangers. I am only asking you this question from a woman's point of view. Think about it yourself. Think about it when you see him. You won't have so much time to think about it. Sima Yue left after speaking, leaving her alone at the beach for the entire night. Chapter 2278. When Sima Yue returned to the tent, Wu Lingyu was already waiting for her on the bed. When she was done, Wu Lingyu asked her, Why did you want to kidnap her and leave with us? I think that Bai Xiaofei probably couldn't bear to part with her. That's why he kept delaying the Black Tortoise from going to the divine region. Bringing her along would make it easier for us to persuade him. Sima Yue replied, and there's one more thing that I like about her. When I saw her standing by the sea, it was as if the world was in despair. Since it's so painful, why don't you chase after her? She grew up under all kinds of rules, so I'm just giving her some advice. What she thinks is up to her. You're so kind. Wu Lingyu hugged her. If you ask me, that Bai Xiaofei was not brave enough. Do you think everyone is as thick-skinned as you? Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. It's better to be thick-skinned. That's the only way to get a wife, isn't it? You don't know how many times I've rejoiced that I was thick-skinned enough back then. Wu Lingyu casually set up a barrier, isolating the inside and outside of the tent, then began to attack the city. The next morning, when Sima Yue woke up, the others had already packed up their tents. They were just waiting for the two of them to finish packing up before they could set off. Now that we're here, we can only fly over ourselves. The Wen family elder said. Sima Yue thought for a moment, then called Little Rock out. The sea beasts here are not low level. I'm afraid that normal flying beasts will not be able to withstand them. We'll have to trouble you. Little Rock transformed into his original form and said, It's no trouble, I feel that I'm finally useful. Come on up. Sima Yue called when she and the rest up. The two Wen family elders were still in disbelief when Little Rock flew up. They could actually sit on the golden-winged rock one day. This wasn't a dream, right? They peeked at Sima Yue. They heard her say that she was very powerful, but they didn't expect her to have such a contracted beast. How strong was her true strength? They flew deeper into the sea. From time to time, there would be some auras of sea beasts emerging from the sea, but it didn't affect Little Rock much. Just as they were about to approach a small island, the spirit beasts in the sea suddenly attacked. They were no longer releasing their auras. Furthermore, there were quite a few sea beasts that came to attack. Sima Yu guessed that Black Tortoise was controlling them from behind. Little Rock nimbly dodged the attacks, causing the sea beasts to be infuriated. The two elders of the Wen family wiped the sweat off their foreheads as they looked at the densely packed sea beasts below. Fortunately, they were not the only ones who came. Otherwise, it would be difficult for them to return alive today. Bai Xiaofei should be on the island in front. When she pointed at the island in front of them. Yu, there's a barrier in front. I can't get through. Furthermore, there is a very strong pressure here. I can't hold on much longer. Little Rock said. Little Shi, is this the aura of the Black Tortoise? Sima Yue asked Fuxi, but she was very sure. There were not many auras in this world that could make the golden-winged great rock unable to hold on. Fuxi nodded his head and flew into the air. The huge green dragon made the spirit beasts below not dare to attack again. Little Rock also did not have to dodge the attacks. He spat out a mouthful of dragon breath towards the barrier that was blocking their way. Faint ripples slowly appeared on the barrier. Fuxi spat out a few mouthfuls of dragon breath but was unable to completely break through the barrier. It actually enveloped the entire island. Sima Yue said, "This barrier is quite sturdy. The Black Tortoise's shell is thick. Among the four of us, its battle prowess is weak, but its survival skills are the strongest." Fuxi said disdainfully. "Green Dragon, you bastard. You actually dare to speak ill of me behind my back." A flustered and exasperated curse followed by a ray of white light. It passed through the barrier and directly attacked Fuxi. Bang bang, Fuxi swung his tail and swatted the white light into the sea. It was unknown when the spirit beasts in the sea had all dispersed. "Green Dragon, you bastard! You promised not to slap me with your tail." The Black Tortoise cursed without any confidence. Very quickly, a palm-sized little tortoise flew out of the water and landed in front of everyone. Sima Yue curiously looked at the Black Tortoise. In her memory, the Black Tortoise should be mature and steady. Why didn't it give off the feeling of maturity and steadiness? Could it be that it was too excited? Fuxi ignored him and transformed into a human and landed beside Sima Yue. He said, "Why aren't you removing this thing of yours? Aren't you very capable? You still can't break through my defense." The Black Tortoise said angrily. However, it still opened its mouth and allowed Little Rock to bring everyone in. It was only after entering that Sima Yu realized that a man dressed in black had appeared by the shore without her knowing. Little Rock landed and transformed into a human and followed beside Sima Yue. The Black Tortoise also transformed into a human and looked similar to the old man in the painting. However, looking at his character, it was more like an old urchin. "Green Dragon, who are these people? I know the young lady from the Wen family. Who are these two people? This young lady is quite pretty." The Black Tortoise smiled as it sized up Sima Yue. Bai Xiaofei's gaze landed on Wen Shi from the start. He frowned as if he was wondering how she was related to the Green Dragon and the others. Sima Yue smiled at the Black Tortoise. With a thought, Qi Yan appeared beside her. It's actually you." The Black Tortoise saw Qi Yan and cried out in surprise. It even ran behind Bai Xiaofei and hid behind him in fear. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. The Black Tortoise was actually afraid of Qi Yan. "Since you've already returned, why are you still here?" Qi Yan reprimanded with a sullen face. "I've also just returned not long ago. I suffered serious injuries before and have only just recovered." The Black Tortoise protested softly. "Also, I predicted that you would come to find me. I might as well wait for you here so that we wouldn't miss each other." Sima Yue pursed her lips. The Black Tortoise probably didn't believe his own words. It was obvious that he was lazy and his contractor was reluctant to leave. That was why he waited here. Qi Yan understood the Black Tortoise's character better than her. He snorted coldly. "You've already given up? Using your turtle shell?" "I already said that I'm not a turtle shell. If you continue to be like this, I'll get angry." The Black Tortoise protested. "All right, we don't have so much time to waste on you. If you have nothing else, we'll leave." Fuxi was still worried about the white tiger and urged the Black Tortoise. When she heard this, She subconsciously looked at Bai Xiaofei. Thinking that he was about to leave, her heart was sour. She lowered her head to hide the tears in her eyes. The black tortoise looked at Wen Shi and then at Bai Xiaofei. He transmitted his voice to him. We should go. Bai Xiaofei cupped his hands towards everyone. We have nothing else to do here. We've already packed our things. We can leave at any time. Just as he finished speaking, there was a familiar vibration in the air. It seemed that a group of people was chasing after them. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.